Hey everyone, my name is Jake, and welcome to the 20th episode of Good Timin. As always on this podcast, we're going to be talking all about one of our favorite bands, the Beach Boys. And today's show is actually a bit of a continuation of our last episode, where we discussed and compared the Beatles and Beach Boys albums from 1966 through 1967. And on today's show, we're going to pick up where we left off and compare the albums from 1968 through 1970. So we had a lot of really fun discussions. Obviously, this was a very creative period for both bands. They were both putting out a lot of great material, and it was a lot of fun to hear everybody's thoughts and opinions on all the different songs and albums from this time. So without further ado, let's get into the show.
All right, so next up we got the White Album, and there's no way in hell we're going over like all like 50 tracks. Um, so I tried to pick some interesting matchups. Some of them add up, I think, pretty well. Some of them don't, but I try to give the songs where I feel like maybe they don't match up super good, but I feel like they're definitely interesting talking points in the songs that people would want us to cover. If we want to talk about some of the ones that I didn't mention, by all means, I think it's worth mentioning because they are two albums that we're comparing. So I thought we'd go definitely headstrong with just both openers. I combined Meant for You and Friends. I mean, Meant for You is like 30 seconds. And it's going against the Mike Love co-written Back in the USSR.
President sue Paul for that one.
Hey man, like I'll be honest, looking through the Beach Boys book that came out not that long ago, Mike definitely did spend a lot of time with John and Paul. So I could definitely see him influencing the song. I don't think he deserves a fucking co-write though. I'm sure he helped a little bit with some of the ideas, but you didn't write shit, dude.
Did he really deserve a co-write for Wouldn't It Be Nice? I think I will say that is the only one from the lawsuit I completely disagree with because it was Good Night, My Baby, Sleep Tight, My Baby. It was two lines at the end. That is not worth a third of a credit. I'm sorry. That's the only one from the lawsuit I disagree with. Otherwise, I think my hot take was I think he was fine to sue. I just disagree with that. That was the only one I disagreed with.
I agree, but as for Back in the USSR, like I definitely do see his influence. I definitely see it. I don't think he deserves a co-write. Then again, I don't think he really asked for one though, so I don't think it's too big of a deal. But I definitely appreciate the Beatles kind of doing a Beach Boys-esque song. I didn't really notice the similarities because I when I first heard Back in the USSR, I did like it. Again, one of the few Blue album tracks I liked. I didn't really notice the Beach Boys influence until maybe like last year. I was like, oh, that's pretty cool. So, if we're going back in the SSR versus Meant for You and Friends, I'll admit I liked Back in the USSR a lot when I was a kid. It's one of those tracks I don't really come back to anymore. I appreciate it, but I don't listen to it much. I'm gonna go Meant for You slash Friends.
I like Meant for You Friends, and I think it works well, but I'm gonna go with Back in the USSR. It's very rock, and I think it's a great way to start off the White Album. I love like the sound of the plane flying in. I think that works very well. I like how it crossfades into Dear Prudence. I think that works really well too. It's also got a bit of a Chuck Berry vibe to it, which is always awesome. I really enjoy it. I think it's a great way to start off the White Album. So I'm going Back in the USSR, though I do enjoy Meant for You Friends. I think that's cool too.
Yeah, I mean, I think Meant for You Friends is a great introduction to Friends, like the album, and like just the general vibe you're going to have throughout that album. I think that it works really well as an opener, but as individual songs back in the USSR, for me, definitely. This is just a rocking song. Great way to open the White Album. Like you said, I love like the plane noise, like the plane taking off or landing, and then it just Paul has this just freaking killer vocal. Like he's really singing the hell out of this thing. Like I love the line, like the show me around the Smoky Mountains way down south. I freaking love that line. And I think the part that Mike claims that he helped inspire is the part where like he goes like the Ukraine girls really knocked me out, and then the Moscow girls. So I think that's kind of what that was about. But I just think this song like freaking kicks ass, and I love it. And I think the Beatles, I mean, the Beach Boys actually did it live sometimes in the '80s, which I think is kind of cool. So I really like this one. So definitely back in the USSR.
They did it with Ringo, I think, actually.
They
Wasn't
did.
it? Yeah. Yeah, so back in the USSR, it's a fun track. I really like Paul's vocal on it. There's some really cool instrumental moments. There's like a piano and some of the guitar work is really great on it. And then Meant for You Friends. I really like Friends. It's kind of like one of the unique like 3/4 songs in pop music, kind of like a waltz kind of thing. And just the instrumentation is just so layered and the harmonies are really great on it. So I'm gonna go with Meant for You Friends for me.
There's a lot of that waltz stuff that's on Friends. Actually, it's
Yeah,
pretty
yeah,
weird.
it's pretty cool.
So how Brian was writing around that time. All right, this is one that's like I know it's gonna be lopsided, but I needed to squeeze the Beatles song in here somehow. Dear Prudence versus Wake the World. I love Wake the World, but Dear Prudence, I had to squeeze it in there. It's one of my favorite songs from the band. Um, it's so fucking pretty, and the guitar line or the acoustic guitar is so awesome. It's just such a pretty song, and I knew if we are gonna talk about the White Album that I'd had to talk about this one because it's one of my favorites.
I hate. No, I'm kidding. I love Dear Prudence. I
Fucking
love.
swear to God,
No, I'm
I
totally
would
kidding.
bitch slap you through the screen.
I love Dear Prudence. So you're right. It's so gorgeous. I think it was. I think he inspired. It was he sang it about Mia Farrow's sister. Was like so into meditation and want to come out of the room.
Yeah.
But yeah, it's a beautiful song. The sun is up, the sky is blue. It's beautiful, and so are you. I mean, so simple, but it's so pretty, and it's just like it really is a pretty song. And yeah, Wake the World is nice, but it does not compare to Dear Prudence. I will say though, Riley, I'm a little upset that one song is not on here that I would have loved to have seen represented.
Mention at the end.
I will.
For me, yeah, Dear Prudence easily. This is just a gorgeous song. I think John's vocal on this is incredible. I think he really sings the lyrics so well. And I love that line you mentioned, Matt. I was totally going to mention that lyric as well. Wake the World, though, is nice. You know, it's got like a fun little chorus. And I think it's one of I think it's a solid album track for sure. But Dear Prudence, it's a great way to kind of like follow up. Like you have like this high energy track with Back in the USSR to kick it off. And now we slow things down, you know, and I really love its sequencing on the album as a second track. So Dear Prudence for me.
Yeah, we'll get there faster, then we'll take it slow.
And I love the crossfade. The crossfade just is gorgeous.
Yeah. Yeah, that segue from Back in the USSR to Dear Prudence it's really well executed. Dear Prudence, it's a great track. I really like the acoustic guitars. Like Riley said, John's vocal. It's just a really well written song. It has a lot of great sections to it. Wake the World is a very simple song. It's very short too compared to Dear Prudence. So I don't know if it's a very fair matchup, but with that being said, I do like the live version of Wake the World on Live in London too. It's a little bit better than the studio version in my opinion. Even though that tuba part is really cool on the studio version, but I'm gonna go with Dear Prudence.
I was going to say, Justin, on the live versions of Wake the World, I've heard, doesn't Mike do this thing where he's like, we're going to turn off all the lights now or something?
Yeah, you heard that from me. I love that.
Mike's corny stage banter, yeah.
I like it, though. I like it.
He really is.
And I feel like for a lot of these comparisons that we're going to do, for this album only, it's not going to be so much like which song do I like better, because I feel like some of these are obvious. It's kind of comparing, like, I feel like some of just the flow of Friends and the tracks kind of more together compared to like maybe this track here and there rather than this song versus this song. Because I feel like it's a bit unfair because you're comparing the Beach Boys' shortest album to the Beatles' longest. And the difference is about like an hour. Like it's nuts.
Yeah. More than an hour, I think.
Yeah,
so I feel like we're just kind of talking about tracks more than comparing tracks, if that makes any sense.
No, I know, because you're jumping around because the next one is like quite a bit later in the record.
I also did want to have some matchups. I tried my best. Sexy Sadie versus Be Here in the Morning.
Can you explain the rationale behind that one? Because I
No.
don't. No, you just chose Sexy Sadie because you felt like it.
I love Sexy Sadie. That's my favorite song off the album.
Okay.
Next to guitar, While My Guitar Gently Weeps. I love Sexy Sadie. It's one of those ones I found later on in my Beatles listening. It's one I often skipped over because I used to hate how freaking big the White Album was. And then 2 years ago, I gave it a re-listen like completely, and I found Sexy Sadie, and it was like, holy shit, where's this gem been my entire life? I love this song so much. The chord changes are so cool. I feel like the vocal is very well delivered, and I like how the guitar works in this song. I like the bass. It's so cool. It's such a rootsy song. It's very stripped back. Guitar, bass, drum. That's pretty much it. And it just works so well on this one. I feel like this is the best stripped back song on the album, and I greatly enjoy this one. It might be my favorite off the album. And Be Here in the Morning, it's fine. Compared to Sexy Sadie, it's fine.
You're gonna hate me, right? I've never cared for Sexy Sadie. It's all right. It's never done much for me, honestly. I gotta listen to it again, but every time I listen to the White Album, it just was there for me. Like and And I really enjoy Be Here in the Morning. I really love it. I love like how it builds up and the harmonies, it's like be here in the morning. I love Carl's vocal, and I love how the harmonies come in and it like kind of makes the song like make my life full. So Be Here in the Morning. Sexy Sadie's never done much for me. Sorry.
These are both songs that I do really enjoy. Be Here in the Morning is one of the stronger album tracks from Friends for me. And but I'm gonna give it to Sexy Sadie though. I love the piano on this track, and I love like you said, the vocal delivery, the way John sings it. I love the guitar work on this one too, like at the end, like the riff, like the down and now, down and I love that little riff. I want to say the lyrics from this song, if I remember right, or like this is one of those songs John wrote that kind of targets the Maharishi. I want to say the song was like critical of him because I don't know if he was like having an affair with somebody.
Yep, that's exactly what it was.
Okay, but I really like this song a lot. I wouldn't say it's in like my top 3 or 4 from the White Album, but I think it's a really strong album track and I enjoy it quite a bit. So I'm gonna go Sexy Sadie, but I do like Be Here in the Morning too.
Sexy Sadie was one of those ones that really took a lot of listens, like before I found it. Like Riley said, like just the White Album's so long that when you re-listen to it multiple times, like you pick out different ones every time that you kind of didn't notice before. And this was one of them that just kind of passed me by, and then one day I kind of noticed it. And I see what you guys are talking about, like with the guitars and the piano and stuff. Like it's a really rockin', kind of like simple song, but it's like very effective. Be Here in the Morning was one of the first when I first listened to Friends. It was one of my favorite songs, like right away. Like the hooks are there. The Carl's vocal through the Leslie speaker, that was so cool. Brian's the verses and stuff, really cool. And just the harmonies. I would say Be Here in the Morning for me is a little bit stronger.
Al's on lead on Be Here in the Morning, I believe, right?
I thought it was Brian.
No, I've heard
Al? I think it's Al.
I've read it's Al doing a very high registered voice from what I've read.
Oh, okay.
It has Murray instead of Mike, because Mike was in India when they recorded it.
He's with Maharishi.
Mm-hmm.
Learning
with the Beatles, writing back on the USSR.
Was he learning to levitate though? That's
that was in
that was almost 10 years later.
Did he learn to levitate though?
Now I'm trying to imagine.
Maybe.
He got to do that shit on stage. He'd be one hell of a front man.
Oh man.
It's like something.
Imagine he actually did that on stage.
Maybe he was trying to do that with Brian's piano that one time.
I would have a
stage.
whole lot more respect for Mike Love, and I would think he's the best member of the Beach Boys if he could fucking levitate. What a Man Needs a Woman versus Martha, My Dear. So yeah, we're really reaching the point with me where it's kind of past the point where I'm like, all right, Paul, shut the fuck up. I'm really starting to get tired of the granny pop shit. But Martha, My Dear has some pretty cool chord changes in it, and I hold your head up, you pretty. That part's really good.
Girl, yeah.
So I do like Martha, My Dear, but When a Man Needs a Woman has some sick guitar work. It's bossa nova-y, it's jazzy, and I really dig the guitar work on that song. And that alone kind of makes it for me. But it is close. And Martha, My Dear has been growing on me. It is one of those granny pop songs that I did not care for at all. My first listen, it came right after Happiness is a Warm Gun, and that always pissed me off. I'm like, I'm going from arguably one of the best songs on the White Album to Paul doing his Billy Joel before Billy Joel. And but you know what? Martha, My Dear has been growing on me quite a bit. And I do think is one of the better granny pop songs from him. Some pretty cool chord changes in it, but When a Man Needs a Woman has some great guitar work, and that will always trump pretty much anything else for me in the grand scheme of things.
How do you feel about Honey Pie?
Oh, shut the fuck up.
Martha, My Dear, yeah, it is definitely a bit twee. We're going back to the twee again, but I like it for what it is. I know it's about the dog, the bulldog, right? And I know it's like, I like to take a good look around you, you silly girl. When a Man Needs a Woman, I would like it a lot more if it didn't have when the two get together. Oh, what the hell?
Yeah.
It's like the song's unfinished. So honestly, for that reason, I'll give it to Martha, My Dear.
Yeah, it's like they ran out of ideas.
They ran out of ideas. Like if they fleshed out that part more, it'd be close. But for that alone, I'm giving it to Martha, My Dear.
Yeah, so When a Man Needs a Woman, I like it enough. Like, but I think that part is kind of funny too. But um, it's one of the lesser tracks on Friends for me, even though I do enjoy it. It does feel kind of incomplete. Like there's that part where it just goes where it's just like the instrumental, and it feels like there's supposed to be something there and there's not. So it just doesn't feel complete to me. Martha, My Dear, though, I'm gonna stand up for this freaking song. I freaking love this song. This is top 5 on the White Album for me. It's the chord changes, man. I freaking love the transition from part to part on this song. Like I love, it's got that opening first with the piano, like the do 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 do, and then that transition from the first verse to hold your head up, you silly girl, and then yeah, look what you've done. It's like, oh my gosh. And then when it goes into the take a good look around you, and then yeah, it's just, I could sing the whole damn thing. That's how much I fucking love it. It's such a great song. I love like that middle section too, where I think it's got like the horns. I think it's horns. It's like that instrumental break midway through that I really like as well. Yeah, I freaking love this song. I think it's awesome, and I think it shows Paul at like his melodic best. So definitely Martha, My Dear.
Let me apologize too. It was the sheepdog, not the bulldog.
Yes. Yeah.
Sheepdog.
That dog lived to be
rain.
Too.
Bullfrog.
Yeah. Martha, My Dear, great hook, great chords. Lyric is kind of questionable. Great arrangements with the horns and stuff. And I think part of the reason why you like this song, Jake, is the major seventh chords. There's major look what you've done. That section is like all major sevenths.
Yeah.
And then When a Man Needs a Woman, yeah, it's a pretty cool track. I can see what Riley's talking about with the guitars. It's really cool. Like I think it's like 2 or 3 guitars interplaying during the verses and stuff. But it's like you guys said, it feels kind of incomplete. Especially with that section Matt pointed out, which I didn't even think of until he pointed it out. So with that being said, I'm gonna have to go with Martha, My Dear.
No, the chord changes on that song are absolutely nuts. That's why that is the reason why I like it.
A little bit twee though. He's right.
Yeah. I don't like the lyrics, and I don't really care for the vocal delivery, but the chord changes are so damn good. And it's the get yourself in the thick of it, something like that. That part's really cool.
Silly girl. Yeah.
That's my favorite vocal delivery on that song. The lyrics and the vocal delivery, I don't care for it too much, but the chord changes are so nuts. And I feel like that's kind of what makes or breaks the granny pop stuff for me, is the chord changes. Are they good or are they not?
Right. That's like on When I'm 64. Like for me, what worked that second section, like that part. Every summer we could sing cottage in the
So my views can be pretty inconsistent on the granny pop stuff. I mostly don't like it, but if there's some really good chord changes in it, or if there's that one thing that hooks me in, I'll like the song.
I know we call it granny pop because that's what John called it, but it's really more like music hall because I think his dad loved music hall, and
I'm calling it granny pop because I'm a freaking John stan, dude.
Well, I like it's more music hall. So like I imagine because music hall was kind of like vaudeville, but it was British, like the British version of vaudeville.
Old English music hall, yeah.
Imagine like you listen to like something like Honey Pie, for example. I imagine like you come out in the top hat and the cane, like Al Jolson, like like Honey Pie, you are making me crazy. I like it because of that, but like I know you're not into that stuff. That's fine. I like that stuff. So, and I think Jake likes it too. So,
yeah, I mean, and Paul would explore that kind of stuff throughout his career too. Like even after the Beatles, like you look at like Wings on Venus and Mars. There's that song "You Gave Me the Answer." That's the exact same thing. So.
Yeah, that's true.
So Passing By versus Cry Baby Cry. Passing By is a really damn good instrumental, and the vocals on that. It's weird. It's an instrumental, but there are the background vocals on it, and they sound great. Oh, I love it. Passing By is one of the highlights of Friends for me. But Cry Baby Cry is also a very simple and very beautiful song. And I feel like in some areas that it is a bit too simple. But I do really enjoy it. And Passing By is a beautiful instrumental with some awesome non-verbal vocals. If that makes any sense. So I'm gonna give it a tie. I both enjoy each of the songs an equal amount. They're both very beautiful songs for me. Tie.
Yeah, Passing By is definitely an instrumental I enjoy quite a bit. I like with the wordless vocal stuff because it is a bit more on the atmospheric kind of ambient vibe. That's also why I really enjoy Diamond Head because that's kind of what I'm looking for more in an instrumental. But Cry Baby Cry is, like you said, it's beautiful and it's very simple. And I also love the dichotomy between John's part and then that like haunting Paul part, like, can you take me back where I've been at the end? So I give the vote to Cry Baby Cry, but I do enjoy Passing By a lot too. But I also feel like Passing By kind of it works better in the context of Friends than as a standalone, which also the reason I factor that into my decision. So Cry Baby Cry for me.
Yeah, this is no contest for me. Passing By, honestly, I'll be completely honest. I don't really care for this song that much. I think it's fine. Friends, like I think it's fine. I definitely would not skip it listening to Friends, but like as a standalone song, it doesn't really do much for me. And again, it kind of just repeats the same part over and over again. I think it's interesting because both these songs I think are kind of simple. Like Cry Baby Cry isn't, I don't think, the most complex song necessarily either, but I think that one works in simplicity. I really like the chord progression and the lyrics, like, you know, like about the king and the queen cooking breakfast for the queen, you know, like really interesting lyrics. And I love like the way the piano is incorporated into it too. It kind of makes it very haunting, like the combination of like the guitar and the piano. I also love that little part at the end with Paul, the "Can you take me back where I came from?" Like, oh, that's such a great way to close it. So I love Cry Baby Cry. I would say it's probably borderline, maybe not top 5, but it's close to top 5 from the White Album for me. I really like it a lot.
I'm not surprised you didn't really like Passing By, Jake, because I know in the chat you mentioned you're not really a big fan of ambient stuff, and that's very ambient.
Yeah, it's just like, oh, like, okay, like, all right, that's cool. Like it passes me by. Like I'm like, okay, whatever.
Go listen to Wild Honey Pie.
What's that?
Go listen to Wild Honey Pie.
To be fair, we have Patty Boyd isn't Patty Boyd the reason we have that on there because she really liked it?
You're probably right, man. I don't know. I
have no idea. Yeah.
I'm pretty sure. Let me just double check real quick. I'm pretty sure it's because Patty. Yeah, it's because Patty Boyd really liked it. She liked it very much, so we decided to leave it on the album. That's why they put it on there.
Oh, come on, George. Just say no.
So Cry Baby Cry. I really like this song a lot, actually. It's kind of a simple song. But it sounds like a band performance, which is really cool around this era. Passing By originally had lyrics, I believe, too, but they didn't record them. But yeah, it's a really cool instrumental. I really like the chords Brian used in this. I think he's using some major sevenths in it, which could be why I like it as well. It's kind of like a more extended harmony. That being said, though, Cry Baby Cry feels like more of a substantial song to me. So with that being said, I'll go with Cry Baby Cry.
Kind of shocked, Justin. You usually have my back on that stuff.
Cry, Riley, cry.
What? I agreed with you on this for the most part.
Annalie the Healer versus Rocky Raccoon.
Ooh.
That was the next one? Okay.
I gave this one a tie too. It was Annalie the Healer, but I don't know, man. There's something about this isn't really a Paul doing the music hall granny pop thing.
No.
And I actually enjoy it a lot. I feel when I first heard about the song, I was reading about like Paul doing like trying to do like a Western thing. I'm like, oh, that's gonna suck. And I listened to it and it's like actually pretty damn good.
Oh
Rocky
man.
Raccoon, like ragtime.
Lived in his room. Da-da-da-da, Gideon's Bible. That part alone makes the song for me. It's actually really damn catchy. I actually performed a version of this at the summer camp I worked at. I substituted all like the names for like a bunch of camp counselors. And the kids absolutely loved it. They didn't know it was a Beatles song, but I loved it. So it's a really fun song. Honestly, the Healer, I actually really love this one off Friends. I think it's really catchy. Healer with the healing hands. It's almost sounds like a commercial jingle in some areas, but it's a tie. Both of them are very what's the word? Kind of like I don't know. They're real songs, but they're kind of more like for fun kind of things. I feel like
playful, like fun. Yeah.
Yeah, they're more playful, fun songs. And I get behind both of them. I really enjoyed them, so I gave them a tie.
Okay. I was gonna say, how do you feel about Obla Di Obla Da?
You'd be shocked.
Oh yes, you like it? I like it too, but
oh yeah.
I enjoy Rocky Raccoon. I do. And I do like the melody is really good too. I gave the edge to Annalie the Healer though, just because I really, really enjoy Annalie the Healer. It's a song that I always really liked from Friends. I think it's one of the best on Friends. I love the melody. I love the story behind it too. It's about like the masseuse in India. I do really enjoy Rocky Raccoon too, but I had to give the edge to Annalie the Healer just because I just really really love Annalie the Healer, but I do enjoy Rocky Raccoon as well.
Yeah, as we've already mentioned, both these songs have a very like fun vibe to them, so I definitely enjoy both. Annalie the Healer, it's got that really catchy chorus, like the healer with her healing hands makes you well as quick as she can. Like it's just a really catchy and fun. Great vocals from Mike on the verses on this one as well. But you know what? I gotta give it to Rocky Raccoon. I freaking love this song. I love like the ragtime feel of it with the piano. I love like how the song kind of transitions from part to part. I like at the opening where you have Paul like with the well, somewhere in the Black Mountains, there was a boy named Rocky Raccoon. It's like a funny, interesting opening. And then yeah, I love like the lyrics about like his his rival or whatever they are. I don't remember them, but I love the song and
Yeah.
just the fun like sing along piano, like the it's so much fun. I freaking love this song. It actually, I know for a lot of people this might be a lesser song in the White Album. This would, I'm gonna say, is a chance makes my top 5 from the White Album. That's how much I like it. I think this song is so much fun. It's much
good.
Fun.
It actually, I think it totally has a place specifically for this album. It wouldn't fit anywhere else.
Yeah,
I really feel like
I agree with that. I agree.
Yeah, Rocky Raccoon has like the two distinct sections, like the acoustic guitar section and like the ragtime kind of piano section, which is really cool. Kind of divides the song up a bit. I really like Paul's delivery of the vocals. Like he's like in character. You can tell it's really cool with that and like the story he's telling. Um, and then Annalie the Healer is an absolutely gorgeous song. Really understated production. Just has like the little bongos and stuff in the background there. And you can hear Bruce on this track. I think it's one of the only songs Bruce sings on this album. Yeah, you can hear him. That being said, I'm gonna give the edge to Rocky Raccoon. It's just such a fun track. Yeah.
I love the part of Rocky Raccoon where he's like, Rocky didn't like that. He said, "I'm gonna get that boy." I freaking love it.
There's a lot of
what I would have done to see McCartney perform this song live.
Holy shit, that'd be so
cool.
It'd kind of be like Pink Floyd doing the Trial on the Wall, where like you have all the characters pop down. I would love for Paul to have done that live in the 70s, where like maybe like Denny was like one of the guys, and then Jimmy was one of the other guys, and you have Linda being
yeah
on the song.
That'd be sick.
That would have been so cool.
That would have been cool, yeah.
There's a couple of parts I like. Like I like the doctor came in stinking of gin and then proceeded to lie on the table. And then also like her name was McGill. She called herself Lil.
I love Rocky, you met your match. Yeah, says doctor's only a scratch.
It's only a scratch, yeah.
Rocky, you met your match.
It's a really quotable song. Like I feel like there's so many lyrics in it that like that's a fun lyric,
Dude, if I find that version I did for camp, I think somebody has a recording of it out there. I'll send it to you. It was so funny because I had the kids basically do all like the acting.
Yeah,
it was fun because I remember the kid like pointing the gun. He's like, and he fell down. And this was at YMCA. The fact they got away with it was actually so funny. Dude, all right. Little Bird versus Blackbird. I've never cared for Blackbird ever. I think it's a fine song. I really appreciate what Paul was going for with this one, but musically, it's just never been too exciting for me. I think he does deliver a fantastic vocal, but as a song, I like musically, it's never done much for me. I think they're beautiful lyrics, but the music itself has never done anything for me. And Little Bird is one of my favorite Dennis songs. I know Brian wrote the bridge, which is the best part of the song, but Little Bird has always been one that's clicked with me. So I'm going to go Little Bird on this one. But I do appreciate Blackbird, and I do think Paul delivers an incredible vocal and has some incredible lyrics.
Yeah, I really do like Little Bird, and I think it's a great first tune from Dennis, but I have to go with Blackbird. It's such a moving song. It's got great lyrics. I love the like little like sound of the bird like chirping in there. That's a great use of the sound effect. And like I said, it's just it just has so much meaning to it. And I know it's just recently recontextualized. Beyonce did her cover of it, which was actually pretty tastefully done. And I think that just kind of goes to show you like what that song meant to the Black community. So I have to go with Blackbird. I have to.
It's really close for me because I do really like both songs. Little Bird has that that great Dennis vocal, and then that middle section you mentioned that Brian wrote, the where's my pretty bird, he must have flown away, like that makes the song for me. But it's a great song. And then Blackbird, obviously, one of Paul's, a lot of people consider it one of Paul's best songs. Obviously really great deep lyrics too. Obviously, like you said, Matt, very meaningful to people today. And I'm gonna give the slight edge to Blackbird, but I will say I probably come back to Little Bird more than I do Blackbird, but judging them as individual songs, I would give the slight edge to Blackbird, just because of it's just a really beautiful, really understated song. Just Paul and the guitar, and I always like that part. Into the light of the dark black night. I always like that too. So I'm gonna give the slight edge to Blackbird.
Both these songs I really, really like. Blackbird is really cool with just like acoustic guitar. The way that it's structured, like if you play it on guitar, I don't know if Riley, if you've ever played it.
It's actually kind of tough.
Yeah, it's actually kind of tough to play. And I remember the first time I learned how to play it, whenever somebody'd ask me like play something on guitar or something, I'd play that song always like as like kind of a show off piece, and people would always be like, "Oh, that's such a good song," and then who wrote it? And I always said the Beatles, and they'd go, "Oh yeah." It'd be like a party, like I played at parties and stuff. But and then Little Bird is just such a fantastic piece of music too as well. Like you, I like the Brian middle section, Dennis's vocal. There's just so much going on. There's like horns and stuff there as well too, which is really cool. It's just a really well put together piece of music. That being said, I think it's a tie between the two because they're both really, really great songs.
I do like Blackbird like as a song, but it's never done much musically for me, so I don't really re-listen to it. It doesn't, I mean, I don't think it's supposed to excite me, but you kind of know what I mean. Like it's never clicked
Yeah.
with me.
Yeah.
But like as a piece of music and as like it is a very good song. It's objectively great, but
Yeah.
it's never done much for me. I don't know why. But yeah, I appreciate it more than I actually like it. Which is pretty rare for a song like this where it is simple and it's laid back. It's just an acoustic guitar. Usually for a song to like for me to appreciate it but not like it, it has to have like something like production wise that like is really cool. But no, this one's it's just a simple song. It's just never clicked with me. Um, Be Still versus I'm So Tired. I do like Be Still. I think it's fine. But there's nothing crazy exciting about it. I do appreciate its placement in the album. It kind of is that needed pause, that kind of like just kind of like a middle song that kind of bridges. It definitely works well in the context of the album, but I've never listened to it on its own. It's a beautiful poem. I think that's the poem that Stephen Kalinick wrote, and that's
Yeah.
where Dennis kind of gave the music to it. Because I know Kalinick did a version of it for I think his like poetry album or something. Um, but comparing it to I'm So Tired, which is one of my favorite John pieces, it's another one similar to Sexy Sadie. It's super stripped back. I really like the bass on it, the boom, boom, boom. And the guitar is again so simple, but it does its job. It sounds so great in the mix. And John's vocal is so incredible. It's like where he kind of gets to that screeching. I forgot what the lyric it was, but he does such a great job in that pre-chorus, and then he gets to I'm so tired.
Yeah.
I can't figure out the exact lyric. I'm sure one of you guys will mention it, but when John really picks up that vocal, it's such a powerful vocal from him. So I'm going I'm So Tired by
Is it
a
that
long.
part?
Yeah, it's just
Yeah.
such a long shot, but the song really picks up. What she will do, that part. It's so damn good.
Yeah.
And I know what she will do. Yeah.
Yeah, it's so
Yeah.
good. So I'm So Tired is also one of my favorite tracks off the album. This and Sexy Sadie, two they kind of go together for me. Are the two like John tracks on this album that I love the most. I love Happiness is a Warm Gun, but these two they seem more complete. To be fair, Happiness is a Warm Gun is just two songs put together. But I don't know. I love the John vocal on this one. It's not even close.
Yeah, I think Be Still is like fine as like a piece that like works on the album, but it's just a bit too slight to stand on its own. Whereas like I'm So Tired really is a great song. I love the part where it's like you say you're putting me on, but it's no joke. Like when it kind of picks up like that, I love that part of the song. So yeah, my vote goes for I'm So Tired.
This is no contest for me. Be Still is another track on Friends that I'm not necessarily really a huge fan of. I think it's almost a little too stripped back. Like I almost feel like it feels like a demo more than an actual track. I'm So Tired, though, I think is really great. Again, another John song, kind of, you have like I'm Only Sleeping from Revolver, and now we have I'm So Tired, so similar kind of vibe there in terms of the lyric. I love that part you mentioned, Matt, too. The I'm doing me wrong and it's no joke. I always love that too. It's just a great song, and I feel like the lyric, like I feel like the song really fits the vibe of the lyric, like the way he sings it, like I'm so tired, like it's just a great vocal delivery, and one of the many great songs from this album. So definitely, I'm So Tired.
Yeah, I'm So Tired. John's vocal absolutely sells that song. I love the sound of the drums on this song. It's like very like you can hear the snare drum just smacking, which is really cool. Yeah, the when Paul comes in too, like you can hear like the same yearning in Paul's voice, which is really cool. Just a really great song, really well put together, arranged. Be Still is very simple. I think with this song, like I really love Dennis's vocal. I really, really love it. It's a good song. It's just the arrangement is just too simple. They could have done a lot more with this song. I could already hear it in my head, like if piano or even just add some strings to it and just do like a string arrangement or something, it would have been a little bit better for me. But that being said, I'm So Tired feels like more of like a complete song to me.
Yeah.
So I'm gonna go with I'm So Tired.
Yeah. It reminds me of Still from Make It Good.
Oh, look at the beginning of
Oh, yeah.
God, I forgot.
All right. Three more songs. Three more. All right.
Okay.
While My Guitar Gently Weeps versus Busy Doing Nothing. I feel like this is the best matchup I could do for you guys, because I know you guys really like Busy Doing Nothing, and I like it too. But I was a big Eric Clapton fan. He was one of my first real guitar idols. I remember learning pretty much every Clapton song I could learn. He essentially he was the person who got me good at guitar. And this song was one of those songs that really introduced me to Clapton and got me into him. This song fucking rips. It is arguably George's greatest song. This guitar work from Clapton is nuts. Not even just the solos, but the I remember learning that. I'm like, this shit's nuts, and it really blew my mind that could be applied to a song. Not that it was revolutionary, because I don't think it really was. It was just a simple lead line, but like the playing is just so good from Clapton. Like the lead lines are incredible. But even the stripped back version that you got on Anthology 3 shows just how strong the song is based off chord progression alone. And the vocal delivery is awesome. Everything. This song is arguably the best on the White Album for me. I think it is objectively the best on it. Is it my favorite? Maybe. I really click with the John tracks, but this song puts up a hell of a fight, and it might be my favorite. I don't know. I have to really think about it, but such a good song. And Busy Doing Nothing, I kind of gave my thoughts during this the Green Album episode, where I like it. It works great in the album, and I listen to it on its own, but it's not my favorite off Friends. It's never clicked with me the same way it's clicked with other people, but I do really appreciate it. But I'm going While My Guitar Gently Weeps.
Yeah. I like Busy Doing Nothing for what it is. I like the bossa nova vibe. I like it's like one of like Brian's like mundane songs. You write about like something mundane and it just kind of works. And I wrote a number down, but I lost it. So all that stuff. But yeah, While My Guitar Gently Weeps really is, I mean, one of the best guitar solos. Clapton nailed it on that. I think my favorite part of it is like I like the I don't know why you were inverted. Like that part of the song I really, really enjoy. I also love, I got to give a shout out Prince's version of it that he did at the Rock and Roll Hall of Fame. That was incredible.
I purposely left that for you. I knew you would mention that.
Anybody who thinks that Prince wasn't that good of a guitarist or doesn't realize his skills as guitarist, go watch that. That was amazing. And then I know Danny Harrison, he claimed he didn't like it, but he had a big smile on his face. So I don't know if he was just saying that or.
Yeah. I'll be honest. I like that version, and I don't really listen to it too much. I do think Prince did a better job, but to be fair, he's kind of given the live performance to really just absolutely shred the fuck out of it.
I'm not trying to compare him to
yeah.
Just like saying like because I think some people say he did that as like kind of a fuck you to Jan Wenner because Jan Wenner didn't put him on the first Rolling Stones greatest guitarist list, and he put like Kurt Cobain. I love Kurt Cobain, but he was not a better guitarist than Prince.
Kurt Cobain fucking sucked.
But I know he's always ranked very highly on those lists.
He wasn't even really that influential. He just played like shit.
But it's just because people love Nirvana. But like Prince, I really think amazing guitar. I mean,
Yeah.
awesome guitarist, and
yeah.
that shows it. But I'm a big Clapton fan too. I mean, I know Layla's one of my favorite albums, and I really
Yeah.
love While My Guitar Gently Weeps. So I'm giving the vote to While My Guitar Gently Weeps.
Yeah, I mean, I love Busy Doing Nothing. I think it's great, but While My Guitar Gently Weeps. I mean, I think like you said, Riley, like objectively, I would probably say this is the best song in the White Album. I just think it's phenomenal. And like you said, it's a great melody too. Like I think that anthology version, is that like the acoustic one?
Yeah.
Yeah, I really like
Escher demo.
You can really appreciate, the stripped down version of the song, and really hear the core of it. But man, Clapton's guitar work on this is just freaking killer, man. Like, oh my God, his solos throughout this song are just so good. And I love that part Matt mentioned too, that I don't know why. That's
was
great.
Really good singing, Jake.
Thanks, man. Yeah, but I freaking love this song so much. And Busy Doing Nothing though, listen, I want to give it its dues too. I love it too. I think it's got that great kind of like, again, those, like you always mention, Matt, like those lyrics about just like everyday life. He's giving directions to his freaking house in the lyrics, which I love. And I wrote her number down, but I lost it. So it's a lot of fun. But I gotta go While My Guitar Gently Weeps. It's just a masterpiece of a song, and definitely one of George's best songs ever. So.
Well, My Guitar Gently Weeps. I really, really love this song. I really love Clapton's guitar work. Like all of you guys have mentioned, it's just absolutely killer. This was when he was on fire, basically, like with Cream, and Cream was dissolving at this time too. So there was kind of that was kind of feeding that fire. But yeah, George's voice on this song, the writing, it's just everything's like at its A game right now with this track. And Ringo's drums, I love his drum sound on this album. I know a lot of people hate it, but I really like the drum sound on this album. And Busy Doing Nothing, I really like this track as well. They're two very, very different tracks, so it's really hard to compare. I love the bossa nova feel. I love Brian's vocal, his lyrics, giving like everyday kind of like situations. The winds in the middle there are really cool. But that being said, I really like While My Guitar Gently Weeps just a little bit more. So I'm gonna go with While My Guitar Gently Weeps.
There's a funny story I read in Clapton's autobiography of when he George first asked him to be on the track. And then he's like, yeah, you sure? Are you sure you want me on? He's like, yeah, I mean, everybody's kind of doing their own thing anyways, so I'll get you on there. And then I'm pretty sure he sent Clapton home with a tape of the song because he was on it. And then Clapton showed it to the members of Cream. And then got back to George, and George's like, what the fuck? Are you serious? This song isn't even out yet. And then like that was like Clapton was like scared shitless because this was like the Beatles, and like George flipped his shit. But
That's funny.
I could see that. Yeah.
yeah. Oh, Eric, what the fuck are you doing?
Yeah, George lost his temper. It was serious.
Oh, yeah, he had a fucking temper.
Well, I mean, I know you just didn't really see it in public. I know he could be.
Yeah.
He did a good job of portraying like the calm, like.
I feel like George is one of those people where he is normally calm, or he was normally calm when he was just a normal guy. But like he had that switch where like you mess up like that one little thing and he just goes fucking nuts.
Didn't he like lose it on Yoko because she ate like a biscuit or something?
Yeah, that's what I mean. Like he's one of those like really uptight people where like they have to keep everything so neat, and then you mess up that one neat thing of theirs, and he's ballistic.
Biscuit, yeah.
Like the kind of person who'd go nuts if they lost a pencil or like
OCD.
Yeah, kind of thing. All right. Diamond Head versus Happiness is a warm gun. I kind of figured this one would be one of the better matchups that I could really come up with. This isn't really tough for me because Happiness is a warm gun is one of my favorite tracks from the White Album. I don't listen to it as much as I listen to I'm So Tired and Sexy Sadie and While My Guitar Gently Weeps, but I do really love it. It's two songs that are spliced together because they were both unfinished. And it's one of those cases where I feel like a lot of songs it doesn't really work. But kind of like Marcella, it really works on this one. That being said, Diamond Head is a super cool instrumental. I really like the Hawaiian guitar stuff. That stuff, like for whatever reason, it just clicks with me, and I really like it when the Beach Boys do it. If I had to pick one though, I'm going Happiness is a Warm Gun. I just listen to it more. Um, but both I think are very high quality songs.
Yeah. I love Diamond Head for what it is. Like I'm going back because it's very ambient, which is why I really like it. It's a great ambient instrumental. But yeah, Happiness is a Warm Gun is a really good song. John did a great job on that one. So I'm giving the edge to Happiness is a Warm Gun.
All right, Matt. Well, here's a song that's ambient that I actually like because I really
Oh,
like I really like Diamond Head a lot. Kind of like what you guys said, like that Hawaiian vibe it has. Like I feel like you close your eyes and you listen to this and like it really transports you. You know, like you got like the running water sound effects and the really cool guitar playing. I love at the end when it picks up. You got like the real fast acoustic, like the dun, 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 dun. I love
I
that.
think it's a ukulele.
Yeah, a
Yeah.
ukulele. Yeah.
Yeah.
I love that though. But if we're judging it like, you know, in terms of individual songs, I am going to give it to Happiness is a Warm Gun. I do think it's one of John's strongest Beatles compositions. I love that opening, like the she's not a girl who misses much. Da, 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 da. Oh yeah, it's like so good. And yeah, I love the way like this is an example of a song where like you have two very distinct parts but then like it still works, you know, like you have like that kind of that verse that kind of like builds an intensity, like it's very like, you know, and then I feel like Riley, you probably love that like guitar part in between the verse and the chorus, like the like you probably dig that a lot, but I love it too. And yeah, it's a fun, cool chorus, cool song, great lyrics, and I love it a lot. But shout out to Diamond Head though, really like that too.
You're on the money because that part, that specific part in the song where the guitar part resolves to the boom happiness is my favorite moment I think on that album, next to Clapton's solos.
Yeah.
These songs are both very, very different.
Yeah.
I really like both of them, to be honest. Like Happiness is a Warm Gun is just such a great, great track. I actually really like that part that you're talking about, Jake, with the fuzz guitar there. That's like super, super cool. I really like that part. The I need a fix because I'm going down part.
Yeah.
Yeah, and it's really cool. You could tell it's two different songs, but who gives a shit? It's a great song. Diamond Head is a great ambient instrumental, like you guys mentioned. It took on a new meaning to me when I actually visited Hawaii and I actually went to the actual Diamond Head and saw it. So it was just like that song actually transports you to Hawaii. And it's an absolutely gorgeous place. And I can't wait to go back again. But unfortunately it costs money to go there. So I'm gonna actually have to call it a tie, believe it or not.
I'm going to Hawaii this summer. So
You're gonna love it.
I'm sure we're gonna. Yeah, I hate that Hawaii's become like a shit show for like tourism and stuff, but I'm excited to go.
Ignore everybody else and just do your thing.
Yeah. I'm not gonna like do like all the tourist trap shit. I'm going this summer with my family. I definitely want to see a lot of the stuff that the Beach Boys mentioned.
Make sure to visit the Kona Coast in Hawaii.
I got my striped shirt ready, so
Go see that tree music.
I want to visit the Kona Coast in Hawaii.
That
I'm gonna go see Diamond Head and all that stuff. All
you'll,
right.
You'll see so many surfboards, like it's unbelievable. Like
I hope I see
totally
some
different
Woodies and
culture.
some Hawaii.
Right? Sure. Freedom.
I'll
New
go
here.
there one day, but that day's not today.
All right. Okay.
This is a fun one.
This is the one we've been waiting for. TM, Transcendental Meditation, Revolution 9.
Oh,
So
oh man.
I'm going Revolution 9, and I'll give you my reasons. I feel like this song is the only avant-garde song that I'll probably really listen to. I think it's for experimentation, I actually think it's really cool. Like objectively, it's very cool. I really appreciate everything John was trying to do. I don't think it's a real track though. It's not a song. I'm not gonna listen to it. It's not good for a song, but for an experiment, for what it was, I think it's really cool. And it's one hell of a song to play on Halloween night when you're in the dead dark with your friends to scare the fuck out of them. I remember I played that and they were like literally freaking out. So for that reason alone, I'm giving it to Revolution 9. But it is a really cool piece of experimentation and avant-garde. That baby screaming and all that shit is so creepy. And if John was like trying to make a very scary song. He did a great job.
Oh man.
Okay, I can appreciate avant-garde, but this to me is a waste of time. It's too long. It's Yoko Ono putting her shit on stuff. Oh, thank you. Transcendental, I hate the lyrics, but I like the instrumental, so I'm gonna Transcendental. Revolution 9, waste of fucking time. Absolute waste of time.
No, you don't get it.
No, I don't like this kind of. I mean, I get avant-garde, but I don't like this kind of avant-garde.
Liverpool.
I feel like I'm gonna shock you guys with this one, but I'm going Revolution 9 as well. There's just something about this thing, man. I don't know. Like it's like it builds this like.
I mean, it's really, I love avant stuff, but just not.
Yeah, there's like this feeling it creates, you know, like with all these like sound effects and like that real like I can't obviously like describe all these sounds that are in there, but like I just think it like I don't know, there's something about it where it creates a mood and it kind of works. It's not something I'd listen to a lot, but like in the context of the album, I can kind of enjoy parts of it. There are some parts of this song that actually like make me laugh, like the part like where like I think it's John where like his voice comes in, he's like right. I always laugh at that. There's also that part where like there's this guy going I think that's really funny too. And then of course you had the baby like
It's
I'm
fucking
like it because like there's so much stuff that you don't like that's like in this video.
No, I know, but yeah, there's something about it, man. It's just I'm laughing thinking. Yeah, but it works, and then like there's something very like unsettling about it, I guess is the word I'm looking for, and like that's why it works for me, you know. And
that's why you should listen to it on Halloween.
I think I would like if it wasn't like 8 minutes. Like if it was like maybe like 2 or 3, I would appreciate it more. It's just too freaking long.
You need to go like to a cemetery on Halloween kind of thing, or like walk through the woods because that's what we did. Walked through the woods, like so damn dark. I think it was like 12 o'clock. It was like midnight, pitch black. I put this song on through my phone speaker, and somebody's like, "What the fuck is going on?"
And no, but anyway, though, so Transcendental Meditation, I don't care for this song at all. I don't think it fits on Friends at all. The freaking obnoxious ass horns, like, and then you got honestly, though, that's not even my problem with it. It's the stupid, like, Transcendental Meditation. And it's just a stupid, annoying chorus. And I prefer the version of this song on the Wake the World box set, where it's like a completely different song. That's a lot more pretty, and I think that fits the title much more than like this blaring, loud ass freaking song. Like you see the title Transcendental Meditation, you think, oh, this is going to be really peaceful, something like All This Is That, you know. And instead, yeah, just blaring horns, obnoxious vocals. I don't care for this song at all. So really, I mean, if there was any other song up against Revolution 9 from this album, it would probably beat it. But this song, no thanks. I'll take Revolution 9.
So Revolution 9, I think I mentioned to you guys in the chat. I actually like this specific piece of abstract art. Mm-hmm. Just because there are so many interesting things going on. Like like Jake mentioned, like all of those different like characters floating in and out of the stereo spectrum, and then you have George Harrison like coming in for like different parts, and John coming in for different parts. It is a little bit long, but in the flow of the album it actually works. And Transcendental Meditation, I've never been a huge fan of this song either. I know Dennis once said that they just did this just to be different and to make people think, oh, it's going to be a slow song, it's going to be like about meditation, and expect that, and then they get this blaring kind of song, and they just did it to be different. That being said, I'm going to go with Revolution.
Oh yeah.
Honestly,
that TM.
I feel like
TM. I just don't like. I like Revolution. I like Revolution 9 less. That's why
I'm talking about TM, the concept.
The fact that 3 out of the 4 of us ended up going with Revolution 9, I think that speaks less about the quality of Revolution 9 and more about how ass Transcendental Meditation is. Like, Jesus, like 3 out of the 4 of us went with the freaking sound collage, you know. Like,
be honest though, if it didn't have those lyrics, I think it would be a lot better. It's just the lyrics that screw that.
I guess, but like I don't think it fits in with
delivery.
I think the chorus is kind of annoying. Like,
yeah, it's the vocal delivery and the lyrics.
It's the vocals. I don't like the vocals at all.
All right. So White Album as a whole sweeps.
Yeah.
It's not even close.
Oh,
I love Friends. It's one of my favorite albums from the band. I like a lot of the highlights on here, but as a whole, it works great. But dude, you're putting it up against some of the Beatles' best work, and honestly, most of the Beatles' solo work, really, because this is like 4 solo albums in one. Well, I guess 3, because Ringo got like a couple of songs. But
Don't pass me by for what it's worth.
yeah, so there are songs we didn't mention. Don't Pass Me By. I Will. Julia, all fantastic songs. Your Blues, I love
Your
the
Blues is great,
Clapton
yeah.
version that he did for the Rock and Roll Circus better, but it still rips on here.
Yeah.
There's a ton of good songs, and it's just Friends can't compete. It's gonna be the Beatles' White Album for me. It bitch slaps Friends. I love Friends, but it bitch slaps them.
My opinion is, and I'm still gonna stick by it, I still just think the White Album is too long. And I very rarely, if ever, listen to it in whole. So for that reason, I'm giving it to Friends. But I will say, if we're comparing it, if cherry picking, then yes, I agree. The White Album is a better album. But as a whole, I just think it's too long. I'll probably die on the hill. I just think it's too long. I think it's too long. People disagree with me. That's fine. Everybody has their own opinion.
I see. Okay, it is very long. I agree with you on that. But I think so many of the tracks that are on it are good that like that outweighs it. I know that there's some tracks that are throwaway, like Wild Honey Pie, and a couple of others on there too that are like whatever. But I know some people don't care for Bungalow Bill, which is kind of I'm fine with it, but it's kind of a whatever track. But like you look at the material on here, a few songs I wanted to mention we didn't go over on this track list. Obla Di Obla Da. I know that's a very divisive song. I personally freaking love it. I love the story of how like the beginning is John like pounding on the piano, like the dan 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 dan. It's a fun like sing along song, and I just freaking love it. I Will, like what you mentioned, Riley, and I think you said it too, Matt. I really like that song. Really pretty McCartney track. Julia, just hauntingly beautiful track by John. I think it's about his mom who died very young too in like a traffic accident, or she got hit by a car.
By an off-duty cop.
Off-duty cop, yeah. But just a beautiful, beautiful song like that. Like that's one of those songs that just moves me every time I hear it. So like understated yet so pretty. Mother Nature's Son, really great acoustic track from Paul. Really love that one as well. I'm surprised, Riley, you didn't mention this one. I freaking love Everybody's Got Something to Hide Except for Me and My Monkey.
Oh,
that
yeah.
is a great freaking rocker, man. Like the take it easy, take it easy.
I love that one.
Oh man, that song just rips, man.
You forgot. What about Why Don't We Do It in the Road?
Dude,
So there you go. There's
dude,
man.
I love so many songs on here. And the thing that kind of drives me nuts about the White Album is you say it's too long, but for me, you can't cut it down to a single album. You can't.
No.
You can maybe do like a quadruple EP, maybe, or like an album and an EP. But at that point, just make it a double album. You can't cut it down to me.
I mean, that's fair. Like I said, everybody has their own opinion. Whenever it comes to double albums, there seems to be a big debate over like which double albums you like all the way through and which ones are kind of patchy. Like I know we mentioned, I know we talked about in the chat, Songs in the Key of Life. I remember you, Jake, you said for you it was kind of patchy. I was talking to a guy on Reddit earlier that for him it's one of his favorites. Everybody, or like Goodbye Yellow Brick Road. I know we mentioned that was kind of patchy towards the end. Some people might think it's great all the way through. So again, that's the beauty. For me, it's too long and patchy in parts, but that's just my opinion. Oh, we forgot too. Helter Skelter. There's a great one too.
Right, exactly. And you could argue like that's one of the songs almost like it really was a really influential track and like just like heavier metal hard rock stuff like that.
The Who. It was inspired by the Who song "I Could See for Miles," and McCartney's like, "I want to go bigger and better," and so he did. And then the Who heard that, and then they started getting bigger and better. And it's one of those things like a lot of bands just went back and forth, and it created other genres. Like I hate it when people say, "Oh, the Beatles invented heavy metal," but like, I mean, and they kind of did, I guess. But
yeah,
I think the Who did a lot better. But again, like it kind of speaks to like they were doing so much shit on this album, like you can't really cut it down. And it works because it's imperfect. It's weird because I feel like most other albums that will do that kind of thing, it doesn't really work for me. The only other one I can really think of is London Calling, because even
it's not cohesive at all. We talked about cohesive earlier. This is the antithesis of cohesive.
Yeah, but in some sense, it makes it cohesive.
That's exactly my view on it, Riley.
That's how I feel about Sign of the Times. That's how I feel. That's exactly how I feel about Sign of the Times, except that one's a little bit tighter, so it's not quite as long.
Like Sandinista by The Clash. It's a triple album, a triple LP, 36 songs.
That is long.
Absolutely nuts. There's some incredible tracks on there, but that album, that's too long. But like,
album too that was too long. It was called Emancipation. It was, and
Oh, that one, yeah.
that was
but in some weird way, even though the tracks aren't as good as like London Calling and White Album, it's it's still pretty cohesive because it's pretty not cohesive. It was like they're trying like totally different styles in each song. And as much as I love Friends, it's a very cohesive 23-minute album. The White Album's a fucking beast. It's so damn
Oh
good.
man. What one last track I wanted to mention, Long, Long, Long. I know that maybe that's not everyone's favorite track by George. I think it's really, really pretty. Really like atmospheric, just really beautiful tracks. Like one of those ones you close your eyes and listen to. It's just really, really a pretty song. So that's the other track I wanted to mention. But yeah, White Album, I mean, this is just a top-notch album. There's a reason it's one of my all-time favorite albums by anybody, and like top 2 or 3 for me by the Beatles. So I freaking love it.
Justin, which one do you listen to more? Do you listen to White Album or Friends more?
I really like Friends. I think it's a really great. It is pretty cohesive. I pretty much like all the tracks on it. There's not one track other than Transcendental Meditation that I really don't like. But White Album, like you guys said, there's just so much. There's such a wide variety, and I have to say, like the Lennon songs, he was just on fire at this point, and just every song that he wrote on here was amazing. And there are some really great McCartney songs as well, and the George songs are all great on here. Um, yeah, so I'm gonna have to go with the White Album for me. This album.
Oh yeah. And
Sorry,
for a
you
year,
fans. Yeah,
for a year, it's the
yeah,
Beatles. It's the Beatles.
yeah,
No, literally no contest. I'm sorry.
yeah.
Just
Oh, I prefer Friends. It has to be the Beatles. I agree.
All right, so up next, we're gonna do Let It Be versus 2020. I mean, I feel like there's probably gonna be some comments out there like, why you Abbey Road is next in the Beatles canon, and Let It Be was written and recorded first. I know Phil Spector kind of went back and reproduced some of the stuff, but I mean, first of all, I feel like it's just a better matchup to put Let It Be versus 2020. Both are kind of almost hodgepodgey kind of albums. And it also, I mean, Let It Be was written and recorded first, and it would make sense for this to go against 2020. It was supposed to come out in 69 as Get Back, and because of some issues, it didn't. But yeah, it's just an overall better matchup. So to start off, we're going to do Two of Us versus Do It Again. This is no contest. I love Do It Again. I think it's a really catchy song, but Two of Us is one of my favorite songs from this album. I love the kind of dueling acoustic guitars with John and Paul. I feel like it's just such a beautiful song, and regardless of the meaning, whether it's about him and Linda or him and John, I don't think it really matters. I think it's just a really pretty song about two people spending time together. So I'm going Two of Us.
Yeah, easy for me too. I've said it many times. I don't care for Do It Again. Two of Us, I really do like. I think it's a great way to start off Let It Be, especially with the opener. I Dig a Pygmy by Charles Horsey and the Death Aids. Doris gets her oats. And then it's like, yeah, like you mentioned, the dueling guitar sounds great. I love the part where it's like, you and I have history longer than the road that stretches out ahead. I love that line. I think it's a really nice song. I really enjoy it. And like you said, the dual meanings is cool too. And yeah, Do It Again. Sorry to all the listeners out there. I'll never care for that song.
For me, this is actually a pretty close one because I do like both songs quite a bit. I think Do It Again is a great way to start 2020. Again, I would say it's like a top tier like Beach Boys song for me, but I think it's catchy and fun, and I like the chorus, and obviously got that cool drum sound as well. So I do really enjoy that song. Two of Us, I think, is a great opener as well, though, and I really enjoy it. I love that part that you mentioned, Matt, the you and I have memories, and then longer than I love that little part. I'm gonna say a tie for this one because I feel like I can't really pick one because I feel like one day I might be in the mood for Do It Again, another day I might be in the mood for Two of Us more. So I'm gonna say a tie in this one. I think they're both strong openers, though.
Kind of shocked.
Yeah, Two of Us, I really like. I really like the harmony vocals between Paul and John. I think it kind of harkens back to the earlier days of the band, the Beatles. I love the acoustic guitars, the dueling acoustic guitars. Yeah, that section you mentioned as well too. I really like that. The longer than the road that stretches out ahead parts. Do It Again. I actually like pretty much. I've mentioned before on the podcast. I don't have any problems with this song. I really like Brian's falsetto parts. Yeah, I would say it's probably a tie for me as well.
I'm kind of shocked, Jake. I feel like this would be right down your alley. Two of Us.
Oh no, I like it a lot, but I
Yeah.
like Do It Again too. So it's close for me, but
Yeah, I do. It's kind of weird because I feel like Let It Be was the Beatles getting back to their roots, and then Do It Again was the Beach Boys. The Do
Yeah.
It Again, the song is the Beach Boys getting back to their roots, and both kind of happen around the same time, which I think is pretty cool.
yeah.
Um, but it's two of us for me.
Yeah.
Next one is I Can Hear Music and Dig a Pony. This is tough. I really like Dig a Pony. That bass, dun, 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 that I don't know if it's a bass or a guitar or both. I kind of assume I know it's guitar on one end, but I really dig that. I know the lyrics kind of are a bit nonsense, but I really like John's vocal delivery. It's such a rocking song, and I that riff is absolutely makes it. But I Can Hear Music has an incredible Carl vocal. It's one of my favorite songs off 2020. And while I think I Can Hear Music is objectively the better song, I definitely listen to Dig a Pony a bit more. I haven't really revisited I Can Hear Music in a bit. Dig a Pony is one I've always come back to since I found it. So for that reason, I'm gonna say it's a tie, but I probably listen to Dig a Pony a little bit more.
Yeah, I went for I Can Hear Music. I think Dig a Pony is fine, but I'm not as enamored with it as you are. But it's fine. It's just it's there. Whereas I think I Can Hear Music is so beautiful. I think it's well produced. I think Carl's vocal is amazing. I love the part like in the middle eight where it kind of goes a cappella. It's like I hear the music, hold me tight, baby. So for me, I Can Hear Music. But I don't have an issue with Dig a Pony. I just prefer I Can Hear Music.
Yeah, so for me, sorry to disappoint you, Riley, but I'm not too crazy about Dig a Pony. I think it's okay, but it's definitely one of the lesser tracks for me on Let It Be. It doesn't do a whole lot for me. But I Can Hear Music, I think, is awesome. I think it's one of Carl's best vocals, awesome production on it. It's such a high energy track, like right from the start, like it just launches into that amazing vocal from Carl. And I love that middle section that Matt mentioned as well. You hear the music all the time. It's just such a really fun and catchy song. And I think I've mentioned before, I think it blows the original out of the water by the Ronettes, which I love them too. But I think this version really takes that song to a whole nother level. So I Can Hear Music for me easily.
Yeah, Dig a Pony, I actually like a little bit. I'd say I also like that section that Riley mentioned with the guitar. It's like a guitar and bass double, the riff. And John Lennon's vocal is great as always during this period. Um, I Can Hear Music is magical, I would say. This is one of the best songs on 2020, in my opinion. Carl's vocal really sells the song. The production, it's pure Brian, but it's not, you know. So I'm gonna have to go with I Can Hear Music.
Yeah. I'll be honest. I know I gave it a tie, but I'm probably gonna rethink it and just put it to Dig a Pony. There's that little down, 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 that little solo is so cool, and John's vocal's awesome, and I love how I
Yeah,
can
it
hear
is. Yeah,
it's objectively better. I think like there's just no doubt about it. The production's awesome. Carl has an
yeah,
amazing vocal, but I just revisit Take a Pony way more. So I got to be honest with myself.
yeah.
Um, yeah, the next one, Bluebirds Over the Mountain and Across the Universe.
That's sweet.
Yeah, well, I'm the biggest Bluebirds defender, but Across the Universe is in my top 10 Beatles songs.
Yeah.
It's so damn good. I prefer the stripped down version from Let It Be Naked, but
Mhm.
I don't really care. I think the song itself is so strong that it doesn't really matter which version you're listening to. It's so damn good. It might be one of John's best. I think up there with Strawberry Fields. I think the guitar is so beautiful, especially in that stripped back version.
Mm.
It's a magical song. And I think it is the best song on Let It Be. Not even close for me. So I'm going Across the Universe.
Yeah, it's a gorgeous song. Do you guys like the Wildlife version too? That's one I kind of think is kind of interesting, like the kind of sped up, slightly faster version. I don't know if you're familiar with that
Yeah,
one.
it's
Yeah. Okay, then let's
That
ask.
was the Past Masters one, right?
It's Past Masters. It was on the Wildlife charity album thing, I think is what it was
On
originally.
that one, yeah.
Yeah, okay. And then let's ask this. This is a very divisive cover. What do you guys think about David Bowie's cover of Across the Universe from Young Americans? You like it, Riley?
Yeah,
Yeah,
I,
it's
I
good.
think,
Yeah.
well, he also had John's blessing on that one. Because, I mean, like, he had John.
Hate it. They think it's like awful because the way Bowie
I
sings.
don't, it's nowhere near as good as the Beatles version, but I don't think it's bad. I know Bowie's vocals, especially on his covers, like even with God Only Knows, which I also do kind of like that cover.
I think that's
I think it's
awful.
fine. I'll listen to it usually in the context of both albums, but I don't think they're anywhere near as good as the Beatles versions. But I do think it's fine.
I think my opinion is I think Bowie had one of those voices that it worked great for his original stuff, but I just don't know if it really worked that good on most of the covers. just because of how affected his vocals could be. Like it worked great on his original stuff, obviously, which is why I think some of like a lot of covers of his stuff just doesn't really hold up. But
Yeah, his voice definitely matched his songs more than anybody
yeah,
else.
I like his cover of "Fill Your Heart" though from Hunky Dory, but that's like I love Hunky Dory. So, but yeah, I really love Across the Universe. Beautiful song, beautiful song. So easily Across the Universe. The Bluebirds is fine, but nah.
Yeah, this is a complete like mismatch for me. Like Across the Universe easily beats Bluebirds. Bluebirds is one of my probably my least favorite. Yeah, it is my least favorite track from 2020. I mean, it has again, it's catchy for sure. Like it has a catchy melody, but like the song itself just doesn't really do much for me. It doesn't move me in any way. The guitars on it, while they do sound cool, they do feel kind of out of place. Like, why is there like this ripping guitar on this like cheesy ass like song? So I'm not huge for it. But Across the Universe, I'm with Riley on this one. This is a top 10 Beatles song for me, probably top 5. I do prefer the Let It Be Naked version as well. I think it's better with the more stripped back arrangement on it, where it's just the guitar and John's voice. But even this version, like Riley said, I think it still holds up really well because the song itself is just amazing. Awesome lyrics, really like poetic, and shows John's talents as a songwriter. And obviously you have like the Jai Guru Deva. I love that too. The way he sings that is just so magical. So yeah, easily Across the Universe for me. I would say it is my favorite track on Let It Be for sure.
Yeah, Across the Universe for me is one of my favorite Beatles tracks as well. I'd say I like the version on Past Masters a little bit more than the Let It Be version, but both versions are great in my opinion. I also like that part that Jake mentioned about Jai Guru Deva. That's one of my favorite parts. The lyrics, John's voice, it's just such a great song. Bluebirds Over the Mountain. I actually don't have a problem with this song at all. I like Bruce's production on it. I like Ed Carter's crazy guitar. It was kind of unique for the time. They were trying to reach like Hendrix's crowd and all that kind of stuff. I actually prefer the version on Live in London. It's a little bit less sterile. But the 2020 version isn't too bad. But that being said, I'm going to go with Across the Universe. I just think it's a stronger track and it's a stronger performance, in my opinion.
Yeah, I do like the outro of Bluebirds, like the ending. That is a really pretty like arrangement they have there at the end. That's like the highlight
like the
of
harmonies. Yeah.
really pretty. But everything else, I'm kind of like, like it's fine, but
Yeah, I just checked. Across the Universe is my number 9 favorite Beatles song and is right below Strawberry Fields, so it's like that good. Like literally right below. Strawberry Fields is number 8. Be With Me versus I Me Mine. This is really tough. I feel like this is definitely one of George's weaker tracks from the era. I think it's fine. I do enjoy it in that. I do like the little guitar stuff he does with it. But I don't think it's one of George's better tracks, but I don't think it's bad. Be With Me is one of my favorite Dennis tracks from this era, though. And I feel like George was a better songwriter than Dennis. I don't think it's mine is give or take a couple of songs. I don't think it's very close, but both of them are pretty like still kind of figuring things out with themselves in terms of songwriting. But I do feel like this is a pretty strong Dennis track, so I might give the edge to Dennis on this one. With Be With Me, but it is super close, and I could see myself kind of giving it almost a tie.
Yeah,
I'm gonna edge it out to Dennis.
I don't think it's close at all. Easily Be With Me. I think mine, like you said, is kind of weak, and it was like kind of short, and they just like Phil Spector extended it. It's just kind of for me repetitive. It doesn't really do anything. I much prefer For You Blue, which is coming later as far as a George song on here. And I do like George's songwriter, but yeah, no, mine, I agree. It's one of his weakest cuts. And Be With Me, I think, is a really haunting, beautiful song that Dennis wrote. And it's got some really cool lyrics in it, like a new child is born, the mother is still waiting. So easily Be With Me for me.
Yeah, this one they're not too far apart from me, but I am going to give the edge to Be With Me. I think with this song, I think what really makes it work so well is the arrangement, like the freaking like that string section that like keeps going up, like when Dennis is singing the verses and stuff. I really love the arrangement on it. Makes it like a really like soaring song. And like when he gets to that chorus, like the free, it's really cool. I really like the lyrics as well. Like the one you mentioned, Matt, like the mother is still waiting. Father's over there anticipating. I really love the way Dennis sings this song, and it really shows his potential as a songwriter. Like early on, like this is one of his earlier tracks, and it really shows like there's quite a bit of potential there. So this song has actually been like really growing on me over the past year or so. Like I remember like I used to think it was fine, but now I'm really starting to like it a lot. So I'm gonna go Be With Me. I Mean Mine, I think I do kind of like it. I think it's kind of catchy. I like the verses, I think, a little more than I do the chorus. But like the me mine, like I think it's fine, but like I do prefer the verses. But I'm gonna go Be With Me on this one.
Yeah, I mean mine I actually like. It's very short. I know they re-recorded a bit of it in 1970 without John as well too. I want to mention what Riley said about the guitar work. I really like George's guitar work during the chorus. It's really cool. But it is a very short track, and I know Phil Spector extended it, like Matt said. Um, and Be With Me, that was Van McCoy that arranged the strings on that. He later did The Hustle in the 70s.
Yes.
On that, yeah. Um, he the production on that is great. The timpani, the strings, it's such a lush production to it. And I think it's a pretty good song from Dennis, especially one of his early ones. So with that in place, I'd probably say Be With Me is the stronger track.
Be With Me is one of those songs. I feel like several of the songs on 2020 have this almost like weird like undercurrent to them, like this weird like feeling of like this unsettling feeling. I almost feel like it's not like the arrangement on it. And then like the way like it ends where like it fades out and you just hear like that string part and like that like wailing vocal. Like there's just something kind of like haunting about the song. And I think that's what really makes it really like good to me. You know, I really enjoyed it a lot.
Yeah.
Yeah. All I Want to Do versus Dig It. I enjoyed Dig It as like a little interlude. The FBI, the CIA. I think it's funny. It's pretty cool. I do enjoy it. But it's not a real song, and All I Want to Do, I mean, I much prefer a live version of it than I would the actual studio one and surprise at the end. But I still have to go with All I Want to Do, though. It's just a real song, and Dig It is not.
Yeah. I'm probably the biggest defender of All I Want to Do. I kind of like it. It's kind of got like a bit of a punky vibe for me, at least. I know it's punk from this perspective. Not really. I know it's not really like Ramones, Clash punk, but I do agree it's much better in a live configuration. I think the mixing kind of on this, the mixing is odd on this version. It's not really mixed all that well, but I enjoy it for what it is. And like you said, Dig It is funny, but it's not really a real song. So yeah, I agree. I give the vote to All I Want to Do.
Yeah, even though I'm not crazy about All I Want to Do, I am easily going to go with that over Dig It. Dig It is just, it's whatever. It's not a song, really, like Riley said. But All I Want to Do, I will say, I know, Matt, you said you like this one. It is starting to grow on me more because I think it is a unique track. Like the fact that like Mike's doing this like really like screaming, like almost like hard rock vocal on it. It's really unique, a really unique track in their discography. And it's got like kind of the rocking instrumental too with the guitars and stuff. So I can appreciate it, I guess, for what it is. I don't think it's ever going to be a song I come back to too often. And I definitely would never say that I think it's going to become a favorite of mine on 2020. But I think for what it is, it's definitely like, it's fine for what it is. And I think it's a unique track to show people, like to show like, oh, like here's the Beach Boys doing this like harder rock sound, So yeah. I can appreciate it.
That's about as hard as you get with the Beach Boys. You're not getting no, super hard rock from them.
This is not really a fair matchup because Dig It is it's like an interlude. So there's not much to it, but it is pretty funny, I guess. All I Want to Do, I actually have no problem with this track at all. I know a lot of fans don't really like this track. Mike screaming his head off is pretty funny. I like Ed Carter's guitar on it as well too. It's kind of neat how they went for this kind of harder edge sound at the time with these two tracks with All I Want to Do and Bluebirds. There's a version with Dennis's vocal as well, which is really cool. I actually prefer Dennis's vocal a little bit more, but Mike's vocal is really great for Mike. Like he did a really great job on this. And I'm gonna go with All I Want to Do. I actually really like this track.
I love the come let the power through ya. Come on, let me come on, yeah.
You could just picture him screaming his head off.
You can. And there's that picture that goes around on the internet of like Mike like screaming. I think it's like during Monster Mash when they were doing that song. I've seen people post like they'll be like, the Beach Boys don't have a song where Mike needs to be doing this. It's like, well, how about this one? I feel like
let's do it. There you go.
Mona. Yeah. Let's see Mike doing that to Mona. I would do that for Mona. Come to.
Right now, I guess singing like Dennis. Come.
Nah, I kind of do see the Beach Boys trying to go for that harder sound on this album, especially after they did not doing Monterey and kind of falling out of style. and I'm
Yeah.
kind of trying to catch up with the rest of the generation. But I'm kind of glad they scrapped it for the next couple of albums. Um, but I do appreciate it, and I do feel it works in some of the songs. And all I want to do is growing on me. All right. Oh shit. This one's not tough, but I'm not a huge fan of either tracks. Let It Be versus
Oh,
Nearest Faraway
Like Let
Place.
It Be.
You know what? It's all right. It's fine. But it really depends on like the version. I don't really like this version that's on the album, that's for
That's
sure.
fair. I like the other version better.
And that's the same with a lot of these McCartney tracks. I feel like with the overproduction, and I said this to Jake, the overproduction I feel like kind of makes it a bit more cheesy for me. But if I'm listening to like a super stripped down version of it, I will like that a lot more. And I do think the new mix that Glenn Johns did for the Get Back whole thing was actually a bit better. I'm gonna give it to Let It Be though. It is objectively a good song. I do appreciate it. I do like it. It's fine, but I'm not gonna say it's like one of McCartney's best. I feel like it in some areas it's a little bit too simple. I do think the lyrics are pretty incredible, and there's always this story of like, "Oh, it came to me in a dream," and it's like kind of shit. But I do. It's fine. I kind of like it, but it's probably not McCartney's best. But Nearest Faraway Place fucking sucks. So
Even Paul said Let It Be.
I guess it.
Could have been Wings, but yeah, I love Let It Be. But I do agree. I think the single mix is better. It's a bit overproduced on the Spectre mix, but I think it's a really beautiful song, and the backstory it's about his mother that died when he was like 16 or 17 or whatever. It's just a really moving song, and and Nearest Faraway Place is fine, but it's a little Muzak-y. So I'm gonna give it to Let It Be easily.
Yeah, I'm gonna go with Let It Be as well. It's one of those songs where like it's not the most complex song musically, I don't think, but like and the lyrics are relatively simple too, but it just really works, and it's a really moving song. You can see why like this is one of the songs that is one of the Beatles' most popular tracks. Paul still does it to this day in concert, and it's just a really powerful song. The Nearest Faraway Place, I'm a defender of this track. I think it's a really pretty instrumental from Bruce. I love the use of I don't know like what kind of piano or what kind of keyboard he has on it, but I really love the sound of it. I love that little outro section as it like the very like twinkling sounding piano as it fades out. I think that's really pretty as well. I can see why this track isn't for everybody. Like I can kind of get what you're saying, Matt, about it being kind of like Muzak, but for me personally, I really do enjoy it, and I think it's a nice composition from Bruce. But I have to go Let It Be on this one. It's a classic Beatles track.
Yeah, Let It Be is iconic. I would say it's one of McCartney's strongest Beatles tracks. It's very moving, as Jake said. I love George's guitar solo in it. That's kind of an iconic Beatles guitar solo as well too. The Nearest Faraway Place is very pretty. It's a very pretty song. Bruce did a great job with this. I do think it's very syrupy though. It's a little bit too syrupy for me. Um, I like melody a lot, but it is very melodic, the song, but it's just a little bit too syrupy for me. So I'm gonna go with Let It Be.
Yeah, this Nearest Fireplace is a great example of like when, in my opinion, the instrumental is too melodic, and I'd prefer it a bit more ambient because this is just it's nice, but it's just like this is fluff. Can we say this is fluff, Riley? And we'll agree.
Fucking sucks.
This is nice fluff, I guess. Whereas
This
like
is Endless Harmony, the instrumental. Like
I'd
it's
rather put on like side B of Low, with like the boom, it's like
ocean lovers who
We
harmonize.
like to harmonize.
I thought that song was dreadful when I listened to it, but I gotta listen to it again.
It is dreadful.
I'm fine. Although that God Bless America part is very cheesy, I will say.
Oh God, yeah.
The whole thing, and in the Nearest Faraway Places, like that put into music. Well, I guess it is music. It's all music. But
Okay, we're moving on.
Thank you. Cotton Fields versus Maggie May. This was tough. Honestly, I like Maggie May. Oh, dirty Maggie May.
That's
It
a
works.
Liverpudlian folk song, if I'm not mistaken.
Something like that. Yeah, because I know that John played that with the Quarrymen, like back in the 50s. I think Maggie May was something that the Quarrymen performed live, so I think that's why they were doing it for this album. I enjoy it. It's good fun. I don't really like this version of Cotton Fields. It doesn't sound right. I know Justin loves this one, but it just doesn't sound right for me. You really need that pedal steel guitar on it. You need Al's version is so much better. And I feel this one kind of feels a bit bare. And Maggie May is good fun. I'm still gonna give it to Cotton Fields, but I think I really do like Maggie May, and I do appreciate it on the album. I feel like it really fits the whole vibe they're going for of getting back.
Hmm. And I think Maggie May actually was the first cover they did since Dizzy Miss Lizzy, if I'm not mistaken. So that's kind of interesting. Um,
Wow.
yeah, I enjoy Maggie May for what it is. Like, I think it's like kind of fun, but I wish it was more fleshed out and not just like however it was, like 50 seconds or whatever. Cotton Fields, I much prefer the Al version with Red Roads. I think that song rocks in that version, like that country rock. That's what the song should have been in the first place. I'm still going to give it to Cotton Fields though, just because Cotton Fields is more of a complete song and Maggie May is more of just like a fun little interlude. But I will say if Maggie May had been longer, I'd probably give it to Maggie May. But I'm giving it to Cotton Fields. But yeah, I have to agree with Al. I think Brian kind of botched the production on this one. Sorry, Justin.
Yeah, for me, I
I'll make
mean,
it.
Maggie May is another one of those kind of like whatever tracks on Let It Be for me. Like I know it's not really like a full song or anything, but like it just doesn't do anything for me. So like I feel like it kind of brings the album down for me, along with like Dig It. Like it's like whatever. These are all like whatever tracks for me. Cotton Fields, I'm with you guys. 100% prefer the single version. It's not even close for me. I think like you said with Red Roads on the steel pedal, and I just think Al, there's so much energy in that single version. I just think it freaking rocks. This version, by comparison, feels very bare and just kind of empty to me. It feels like all the energy is sucked out of it compared to the single version, but it is still a catchy melody, and I do always like that middle part, like the back in Louisiana, just about a mile from. I always like that little part, so I'm gonna give it to Cotton Fields, but this is definitely not my preferred version of Cotton Fields by any means. But all right, Justin, let's hear your defense for it.
This is not really a fair matchup though, because Maggie May it's so short and it's a fun track, but it like Matt said, I'd love to hear like a fleshed out version, like a fleshed out cover version from them. I think it's pretty good though, for being such a short track though. It is a fun listen. Cotton Fields, I actually like both versions. Like I've told you guys, I like both versions. This was the version I heard first, so I assume that's why I do prefer it a little bit more. Not a lot more, just a little bit. Uh, I like the drum sound in it. I like the intro. It's like a weird intro. He's like coming in from space, it sounds like. I
Hmm.
like Al's vocal on it and just the weird production that Brian used. It's very cool in my opinion. But I'm gonna give it to Cotton Fields. That's no surprise.
That's fair. Yeah, I think we all give it to Cotton Fields. I would like to hear a full version of Maggie May. And I mean, I haven't checked the like the super deluxe whatever in a long time. There might be a version of it out there that they like jam to. I know they did a lot of jams for that.
I think this whole like recording session, it was a lot of jams.
Yeah, and I'm getting back to the roots. I went to sleep first. I've got a feeling it's not even fucking close. I've got a feeling is one of my favorite songs off this album. It's two songs. It's a Paul song called "I've Got a Feeling," and then a John song, "Everybody's Had a Hard Year" put together, and it's so damn good. That guitar riff it absolutely makes this the song for me. The dueling vocals between John and Paul. I do prefer the John sections a little bit more, but I think Paul absolutely rips it on this one. It's not even close. I've never been a huge fan of "I Went to Sleep." It's okay. It's definitely grown on me a little bit, but I don't see it being one I really come back to that much. Um, and I've Got a Feeling is one of my favorite Beatles songs from this era, so I'm going with I Got a Feeling.
Yeah, I agree. I got to feel it. I think it's a really awesome track. I love when the guitar comes in and then we listen on speakers. It's like it's kind of like you kind of hear like the echo on one half of the headphone, then Paul's vocal comes in, and then yeah, I love the counter, like kind of like the counterpoint between like the I've got a feeling everybody had a good year, everybody da 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 da. And then when I saw Paul live, he did it with like John, like because I think Peter Jackson did the isolation with the vocals, so he sang it with John on the screen, and that was really awesome. And I Went to Sleep is nice, but it's a little sleepy, I guess, to make a pun. It kind of is like, it's a little kind of like just low energy. But yeah, easily I've got a feeling.
I know this is probably an objectively horrible take, but I prefer I Went to Sleep over I've Got a Feeling personally. I've got a feeling it's a song I actually used to not really care for much at all. And this one where like I can't really explain why. Like I don't really know what it is about it. Like Paul has a really rocking vocal on it, and I do like that John part a lot, where he comes in. I definitely prefer that part. But it is growing on me. Like it's definitely reaching a point now where like I'll listen to it. But it's still not a favorite of mine from Let It Be or just from this late 60s period for the Beatles. I went to sleep. I really like this track a lot. I think Justin, you said you really enjoy this one too. I know it's very simple. I get what you said about it, Matt. Like you could call it kind of like a sleepy track, but I think it's got a really pretty melody, and I love the way I love like little sound effects, like the sprinklers going on, and I just think it's a really peaceful, pretty track that would have fit in well on Friends, honestly, but it ended up here, and I really like it a lot. So I'm gonna go with I Went to Sleep.
It's definitely pretty, but like it can be a little. I would say it can be a little sleepy depends on my mood. Depends on my mood, I would say.
This is hard for me because I actually like both tracks. I really like I've Got a Feeling. I like Paul's vocal. Kind of shows off his rock inside. Going back to his Little Richard kind of imitation roots. The guitars are really cool on this. There's a lot of cool riffs. I like that chromatic line and the those like really hard guitars. Um, I Went to Sleep. Everybody on this podcast knows already. I really like this song. I like the clarinets. It's a very simple song, but it has something that's magical about it to me. I don't know what it is, but ever since I first heard it, I really like this song. And still, like all these years later, I still really like this song every time I listen to this album. So I'm gonna say it's a tie because I actually like both these songs a lot.
Yeah. Um, I don't. Uh, I want to shout out Billy Preston though, all throughout this album, but especially on this song.
All
Right
the
after
yeah,
that, and you just gonna hear him go. He's absolutely ripping on the keyboard, on the piano. He
yeah,
really added so much to this album, and I feel like it's.
he did. Yeah, yeah, a lot.
I don't think it's understated. I feel like everybody kind of knows it, but I do want to shout him out.
Wasn't he
He
credited
really ripped on this one.
on
What?
He said Beatles with Billy Preston, right? On the Get Back
Yeah.
single. Yeah.
Mhm.
Almost became an official member, if I'm not mistaken, but I forgot. I think Paul was like, no,
Nah, he wasn't official, but he was the only person that was credited as like a co-performer, I guess, on the
Yeah.
track.
oh, I
He's the
thought
only
I
person
remember reading that they almost wanted to make him a fifth member of the
They
Beatles.
did. They wanted to. I think John really wanted to, but it never came to
Paul,
fruition.
like, I don't want to have to split it with another because there was so much fighting already at the time. Like I know with what was that one guy's name? Alan Klein. I know that was a big.
Yeah,
Yeah.
man.
That's a whole other rabbit hole we can go down.
Not on this podcast.
No, I know I'm just saying, but like it's another.
All right. Time to Get Alone, verse One After 909. I really enjoy One After 909. It's one of the first songs they did as a group, and it's one of the ones that they performed as Quarrymen and kind of throughout until they really hit it big. I do really like it. I really enjoy it, but Time to Get Alone is a certified classic, so it's pretty hard to compare the two for me. Time to Get Alone, like that bass line that's in it, it's so good. I feel like it really could have went on Friends or Wild Honey. I know they were working on it around Wild Honey. I do like that kind of version that they did, but it's such a great song. I know Brian wanted the song to go to Three Dog Night before they were Three Dog Night.
Yep.
But I'm kind of glad that the Beach Boys took it. It's such a good song, so I'm going Time to Get Alone.
Yeah. I don't really like One After 909. I know it was like early. I think it's like kind of primitive. I never really cared for it. I really love Time to Get Alone. I think it's one of the highlights of 2020, especially the part where it's like a waltzy song, like the valley so deep and wide, and then the reverb comes in and the echo. That's awesome. And then I was like, oh, aren't you glad we finally got away? And One After 909, I've never cared for that song, so easily Time to Get Alone for me.
Yeah, one after 909, like it has some nice rocking energy to it. Like I can enjoy it for what it is, and I do like the version from like Anthology of them like doing it like early on, like from like probably like 61, 62. But Time to Get Alone is just an absolute classic, like you said. It's a beautiful track, amazing vocal from Carl on this one, awesome production. I love that part that you mentioned too, Matt, like the deep and wide, and then aren't you glad we finally got away? Hey, it's like I just freaking love this song, and it's might be the highlight of 2020 for me. It's between this and I Can Hear Music as my favorite track, and it's no contest for me. Time to Get Alone. I think it's an amazing song and one of the most underrated in the Beach Boys discography.
One After 909 is a loose, rough, and rocket track. I really like it. It's kind of going back to their roots. I know this was an older track that they wrote like many, many years before. I like Billy Preston's Wurlitzer work on this as well too. He adds a lot to the song as well. Time to Get Alone is one of my favorite Beach Boys tracks. It's one of those 3/4 waltz again, like Friends we talked about before. The vocals on this are just unbelievable. If you hear the Three Dog Night version versus this, it's like night and day. Like the exact
Yeah.
same backing track. Uh, Three Dog Night is like unlistenable. This is like so much better. It's unbelievable.
Yeah.
So I'm gonna have to go with Time to Get Alone.
Yeah.
Yeah. I think of like their late 60s, like waltz style songs, this is definitely my favorite. I think it's like,
Yeah.
so good. So
Yeah,
good.
it's really good.
All right. Never Learn Not to Love versus Long and Winding Road. Long and Winding Road. You know what? This one's actually been growing on me, and I feel like if you look at the songs objectively as songs, I think this one is much better. I can't stand the version that we got on Let It Be. I feel like for me,
Oh.
that's what exemplifies the syrupiness from Paul is the backing orchestration and shit. It just absolutely just destroys the song for me. It's like, yeah, this is Paul's peak syrupness. And then not too long ago, I listened to the stripped back version from Let It Be Naked, and it absolutely made the song for me. I really started to click with it. So I'm going along with Long and Winding Road. I feel like objectively is a way better song than Learn Not to Love.
Yep. I just want to say this in defense of Paul. He hated what Spector did along the Winding Road. He hated it so much that he even cited as one of the reasons why the Beatles were breaking up. So blame Spector for that one, not Paul. He didn't want it like syrupy as hell like that. I really do like the stripped back version too. I actually don't even mind the Spector version. Yeah, it's a bit much, but it's still a very moving song. The lyrics are really moving. I actually don't like Let It Be Naked at all. This is a little tangent just because I don't like all the no noise on it. I just think it just sounds dead. So I like listen to the version from Anthology 3. Never Learn Not to Love is kind of haunting for a number of reasons. One of the big ones, of course, is because it was written by Charles Manson. And it's kind of hard to shake that association, in my opinion. Though I do like the intro, which I think it's a gong. Isn't it like a gong being played in reverse is what the intro is to Never Learn It? That's kind of cool. But yeah, easily Long and Winding Road. It's a very moving piece, I think. And Brian had one time had said this was his favorite Beatles song, so that's interesting.
Yeah, Long and Winding Road, no contest for me. Easily my favorite of the two. I think it's a beautiful melody. I like both versions. I like the Spector version on Let It Be, as well as the Let It Be Naked version, where it's just stripped back and it's just the piano and Paul's voice. I know like a lot of people are critical of the Spector version, including I know Paul himself did not like it at all after hearing it, but I actually think I can see why people feel it's a little overblown. I would say maybe it is as well, but like I think the strings and like the arrangement, I think it is tastefully done. I do think it adds some emotion to the track. The Let It Be Naked version, I do like it, but I do think it feels a little bit bare. So I think like it maybe could use a little more on it. But I really like the song a lot. I think the lyrics are really nice too. It's like a kind of one of those songs like you think of as like representing kind of like the end of the Beatles, like towards the end, like the song, really deep lyrics. And Never Learn Not to Love for me, it's kind of like a whatever track. Like it's fine. I wouldn't skip it if I was listening to 2020, but this isn't one I really come back to too often. The whole Manson thing, obviously, yeah, like you said, it's hard to ignore that too. Even though I think the Beach Boys version, they completely changed the song in terms of like the production and the arrangement of it from like Manson's version of it, or like the original version. I think Manson actually got mad because like they changed lyrics and stuff on it. But yeah, easily Long and Winding Road for me. It's one of the highlights of Let It Be for me.
Yeah, Long and Winding Road, I'd say that this is another one of Paul's best songs for the Beatles. I actually really like the strings and choir that Spector put on. I don't think there's any problem with them at all. It actually fits the song very well. It is a little bit syrupy, but it is very melodic, and I like the lyrics as well. I have an agreement with Matt about the no noise on the Let It Be Naked version. I really don't like that version. I don't really like that album at all because it's really hard to listen to because you just hear all these artifacts from it. Um, Never Learn Not to Love. The gong at the beginning was part of like a song that Dennis wrote called "The Gong." I think it was on one of the
Yeah.
things packages that they did, and it was
Yeah.
just the backwards gong. That was the whole song, and he just tacked that on the beginning. This song also never really did too much for me. I like some of the background vocals in it. That's about it. It kind of goes nowhere, to be honest. It's all over the place. Um, and Long and Winding Road is such a classic song, so I'm gonna go with Long and Winding Road for me.
Yeah. I'm glad that somebody else. I'm glad that you're okay with the string arrangement too. That I'm not alone on that because I
Yeah,
always like. I love the way like the strings go up like on the part like the many times I've been alone and many times I've cried. I love the way like the strings are like going up in the background. I think it's like really
yeah.
pretty.
It
Right.
Yeah.
adds a lot to the
That
song.
part.
It was kind of
Oh,
bare
that part is
before.
not. Oh my God, I hate that part.
Well, then
That's
we're not.
where it gets so syrupy, and I'm like,
I love that part, man.
nah. I've never noticed the dead noise. Maybe I'm just not as big an audiophile as some people, so I don't really, or I guess I didn't really listen for it.
I wouldn't say I'm an audiophile per se, but I think maybe like me reading too much of the Steve Hoffman forums made me aware of it. And then when I was like, okay, yeah, now I can hear it. And me buying those DCC golds and stuff, I'm like, yeah, I guess it's more just me just being too.
If you use it, you know exactly what it sounds like. If you use like a lot of noise reduction, like I've used it before, like on recordings and stuff, and I know exactly what it sounds like. So when I hear it, you can hear it, like you know what it is.
Yeah.
And since we
Yeah.
kind of opened up the floodgates about the Manson thing, I mean, I actually kind of enjoy Never Learn Not to Love. I don't think it's bad. I can't shake the backstory behind it, but I do kind of enjoy it. But I feel like objectively, though, Long and Winding Road is just a beautiful song, objectively. And I think it is one that is going to grow on me more and more as I keep listening to it. I don't think I'll ever care about the string version, but I do like it as a song. Um, so the next one's kind of tough because it's Our Prayer versus For You Blue. Um, and I wanted to make it so they each have 12 tracks. Um, but Our Prayer, I've kind of always seen it as an intro to Cabanescence, especially since they're the two Smile tracks. I feel like that was kind of purposely done. Um, so I guess in some aspects, I mean, I'll kind of comparing a little bit of both. But Our Prayer versus For You Blue, I'm going to prefer For You Blue. Just because it's an actual song, but it is such a good George song. This is my favorite George song off this album compared to I Me Mine. It's the acoustic guitar. It just has that energy to it. I like the lyrics. I mean, I know they're nothing like crazy, but they're very sweet, very charming. And even if I was gonna compare it to Cabanescence, I'd probably pick For You Blue, like over Cabanescence any day. So For You Blue is just such a charming song from George. I do really like it.
Yeah, I agree. I think For You Blue is a really charming song. And Our Prayer is like a nice, like, I guess, like you said, it's like a nice intro Cabanescence, but it's not really a song. It's more of like an interlude or an intro. But For You Blue, I agree. It's a really charming song. I really enjoy the song. Much, much better than I Me Mine for me. And yeah, I'm giving my vote to For You Blue.
Yeah, I'm kind of like what you guys said, like with Our Prayer. Like I view it as more of an intro than anything. So like, I feel like this is kind of a weird matchup because For You Blue is an actual song, obviously. I'm gonna go with For You Blue, but I will say it's not one of my favorite George songs. I mean, I like it enough, but this isn't one I come back to too often. I would mostly listen to it in the context of the album. But I think it's like you said, it's nice and I like the guitar on it. I think it's really pretty sounding. But I'm gonna go For You Blue just because Our Prayer I don't really view as a completed song. I kind of pair it with like with either Cabanescence or with what am I thinking of? Heroes and Villains. Was that what was supposed to follow it on Smile?
Yeah, but you know what? I always feel like that G was just the real intro, but yeah.
Yeah. Okay.
Our Prayer, G, Heroes and Villains.
G. Okay. Yeah.
How about For You Blue versus Cabanescence?
I'm gonna go Cabanescence on that one.
Okay.
Even though I'm not like again Cabanescence, I like it. Like I wouldn't say I love it, but
Yeah.
I think I for it just because I don't. For You Blue is not one of my favorite George songs. Like it's fine. Like it's just I think he has so many stronger songs.
I like For You Blue. I actually like it better than I Me Mine, like you guys mentioned. I also believe it's a very charming song. I like John's slide guitar in it a lot. Our Prayer is really pretty. I really like it's just beautifully harmonized. Uh, Cabanescence, of course, is one of my favorite Beach Boys tracks. I mentioned this on our first episode as well, too. So we can't really compare there. So I'm gonna have to go with Cabanescence, even though I do like For You Blue as well.
All right. So Cabanescence first, Get Back. This is kind of my hot take of Let It Be. I don't like Get Back. I just I just don't care for it. And there's that video of like, oh, Paul wrote it in like 2 minutes, and it's just like, yeah, I can fucking tell. It's terrible. It's never done anything for me. I like it's I understand the appeal, but The lyrics aren't really incredible. Like JoJo was like cool. That's cool. I don't think he's really saying much with this song. It's kind of my issue with a lot of Billy Joel's songwriting after a while is it's just like basic storytelling. You're not really getting anything across. And I do like Billy Preston's organ or keyboard, whatever he did. That part's so cool. But the rest of the song is just meh. It's fine. I appreciate it. I know like this was Paul's like attempt, like, all right, guys, we're getting back. We're gonna do some rockin' shit in it. But for me, this is just it was so overhyped. And even when I was like a little kid, I just didn't care for it. So I don't know what it is. So I'm going Cabin Essence. That song has been growing on me too. I really like the "Who Ran the Iron Horse." That part's pretty cool. And the opening is really cool. I feel like it's very mellow and then it's like light the lamp and actually yeah, fire
Yeah.
mellow. That part's pretty cool. It's just so like vibey, and then the "Who Ran the Iron Horse." So it is growing on me, and it's really no contest because I've never cared for "Get Back" as a song.
Yeah. I like Get Back better in the single mix. I don't really care for this version that much. Other than the part at the end is kind of charming, like on behalf of the group, I hope we pass the audition or whatever the quote
Yeah,
is.
yeah.
Cabin Essence, yeah, I like Cabin Essence. Definitely a grower. I like the different sections of it where there's like a dichotomy between like the verses and I guess the chorus, not really much of a chorus, and then you have the coda, which is, the over and over, the infamous over and over, the crow cries uncover the cornfield, which caused much debate. So I'm giving the vote to Cabin Essence. But I will say, if it was the single mix of Get Back, it would be tighter for me.
This one's pretty close for me. I think Get Back is fine, but I think it is a little overhyped. Like I see, like this is one of the more popular Beatles songs from what I've seen. Like I've heard it on the radio and stuff, and it seems to get a lot of attention. Especially like with like like the Get Back documentary and everything that came out. I think it's fine, but I wouldn't say it's a favorite of mine either. There's definitely a lot of other Beatles songs I prefer to it. Uh, I do like Billy Preston's piano or keyboard playing on it, though. Like you mentioned, Riley, I think that's really great. Cabin Essence, definitely a grower. Like you said, Matt, I used to like not really get this song, but now I can really appreciate it. I love the slower opening, like the very peaceful light the lamp and fire mellow, and then it eventually launches into that driving "Who Ran the Iron Horse." Um, it's close. I'm gonna give the edge to Cabin Essence just because I feel like I'm more likely to come back to that song more often than I would Get Back. But I do think Get Back is a solid song. I just don't think it deserves like the amount of attention and praise it's got. Like I think it's a nice mid-tempo kind of like rocker, but it doesn't do a whole lot for me. So, but I like it enough.
Yeah, Get Back. I really like Billy Preston's Wurlitzer solo in the middle, like you guys said. The lyrics are a little bit weird in this one, as Riley mentioned. But the melody it's pretty good. It's pretty good melody. It's pretty yeah, it's good. It's a good song. It is a little bit overhyped, as everybody mentioned. Cabin Essence, of course, one of my favorite Beach Boys tracks. It's kind of haunting. Actually, the first few times I heard this song scared the shit out of me. And I didn't listen to it for a while, and then I eventually started re-listening to it again. But it eventually became one of my favorite Beach Boys songs. So
Yeah.
Cabin Essence for me.
All right. Yeah, for the album though, I mean, it was a lot closer than I thought because there are some pretty good songs that out just from the Beatles ones, but the highlights on Let It Be are so damn good. And like Across the Universe alone, honestly, clears this for me. But I've Got a Feeling is one of my favorite songs too. Two of Us, absolutely incredible, fantastic opener. It could probably work as a closer too, much better than freaking Get Back. But the highlights on here just it's not even close. And I see a lot of people like kind of shit on this as like a Beatles album. I see this lower on the list for some people. For me, it's kind of mid, like not mid, like it's mid. I mean like mid tier, like Beatles album is like maybe like my number 7 or 8. I think it's such a good album. It's very strong and the highs are so damn high. And it's like compared to 2020, it's just like 2020 kind of kicks 2020's ass. So
Would you rank this higher than A Hard Day's Night?
yep.
Yeah, I know you don't like A Hard Day's Night for some reason. Honestly, like, yeah, this is one of my least favorite Beatles albums, but that's not saying much because most of their albums were pretty goddamn good. But yeah, I just kind of feel like Let It Be is a bit too patchy compared to a lot of their other stuff. But like, I do agree with you that the highs are really high. I think 2020 is also kind of patchy, but the highs are also pretty high. So I think both of these albums for me are like patchy, but the highs are great. I'd probably pick Let It Be, even though they both are kind of patchy, but I do think the highs on Let It Be are just a bit higher.
Yeah, for me, this is a really interesting matchup because like both of these albums are kind of patchy, like you said, Matt. Like there's multiple tracks on 2020 I'm not like a huge fan of, but then there's also multiple tracks on Let It Be that I'm not really that crazy about either. So it's close or relatively close, but I do agree that the highs on Let It Be are definitely higher. You have Across the Universe and The Long and Winding Road, Let It Be. I think there's some great highlights on 2022 because I love Time to Get Alone and I like Do It Again. I Can Hear Music as a classic too, but because of the fact that like the highs on Let It Be are so high, I'm going to give it to Let It Be, but it's definitely one of the lower ranked Beatles albums for me personally. I definitely prefer a lot of their other albums to this one, but I'm going to give it to Let It Be.
Yeah, Let It Be is not one of my favorite Beatles albums. I feel there's four tracks that are really strong on it, and the rest is kind of filler on it. Across the Universe, Let It Be, I Got a Feeling, Long and Winding Road are like the strong tracks on it. That being said, as Matt mentioned, like all the Beatles albums are so great that it's like for this to be one of the worst ones, it doesn't really mean anything, like it's still a good album. There's nothing wrong with it. Um 2020, of course, as everybody probably knows in this podcast, is one of my favorite Beach Boys albums, I guess. I like all the songs on it other than Never Learn Not to Love. I've never really thought of this as one of my favorite albums, but you guys pointed out that a lot of these songs I like. So um, I guess I'm gonna have to go with 2020 and be the odd man out.
That's fine. I looked at the spreadsheet of all my music shit. Let It Be ranks higher than Magical Mystery Tour and A Hard Day's Night.
Yeah, I would rank it below both of those personally, but
No, me, definitely.
I mean, I don't think it's a shocker though that it beats Yellow Submarine and Beatles for Sale. And Please Please.
no, of course, I definitely rank it higher than those two. But I just can't believe you don't like A Hard Day's Night that much.
Yeah, I can't. That's crazy. I can't believe that.
Dude, there's some good tracks on there, but like the rest I just don't care for.
You really like With the Beatles, right? A lot.
Fucking love that album.
See, like I
It's
think
my number
I think
six.
got some great tracks on it too, but I just think like in terms of like consistency, I just think like Hard Day's Night is just more consistent for me. I just think like there's so many great rockers on there. And I think like there's some solid rockers on With the Beatles too, but like I feel like some of them like I like Hold Me Tight, but I don't think it lives up to a lot of the stuff on Hard Day's Night. But that's just me.
I feel like you and me, I think of With the Beatles the same way you think of Hard Day's Night and vice versa. It's
okay, yeah.
All right, so let's go to what I think is going to be a really tough one is Sunflower versus Abbey Road. And this was a lot harder than I thought because I love Abbey Road. And I love Sunflower, but I've never really put the two against each other until now. And looking at it was actually really tough. What's going to be hard is ranking like the medley versus the rest, like side two of Sunflower. So, but I did manage to make it evenly. So we're going to go over 12 tracks. But it's going to be tough. So starting off, Slip On Through versus Come Together. I know I said I love Abbey Road, but I don't really care for Come Together. I'm a big John stan. I love John. I really love pretty much all of the stuff he did with the Beatles and afterwards. But Come Together has never really been a favorite of mine, or at least not in the past like 10 years. I used to love it as a kid. But like once I really started getting into music, I just kind of found it a bit uninteresting. I like the bass line. I think it's really cool. I do like the guitar part. Similarly to how I thought about Eleanor Rigby. I like every part of this, but when you put it together, I just don't care for it. It just doesn't click with me for whatever reason. I know there's the Chuck Berry kind of ripoff, but I mean, when you're kind of going against that kind of like boogie woogie style kind of guitar work, it's gonna sound similar to a lot of other guitar work from that. I think this kind of ripped live though. I saw the a couple of live versions. I know John did one live in early 70s. That version rips, but as for the album version, I just don't really care for it. As for Slip On Through, I didn't get a chance to share my thoughts on this for the Sunflower episode. I love this song. This is one of my favorite Dennis tracks. Absolutely rips. Lots of people with no place to go. Come on, won't you let me be by your side? This was the first song off Sunflower I listened to, and I fucking loved it since day one. So I'm gonna give it a Slip On Through. It's not even close. This is one of my favorite Dennis tracks. Period. Such a rocking song with the production is so beautiful. Rips. Slip On Through all the way.
Yeah, I couldn't disagree more on you with Come Together. I think that's an awesome song. It's a great way to start Let It Be. I love the guitar, I love the bass line, I love the harmonies between John and Paul. One and one and one is two. Like just like I think they do the harmonies really great. I think it's an awesome song. I do really like Slip On Through. I do. I think it's a great intro. It's one of my favorite Dennis songs, but I think Come Together is one of John's best, so I'm giving it to Come Together.
Yeah, I actually echo Riley's feelings about Come Together. I think it's a combination of I've heard it too much, but also like I just don't get like the mass appeal of it. Like I think it's fine. Like I think it's a solid way to open the album, I guess. And like I do like the guitar playing on it, and there's some fun lyrics on it, like what's the one, like Walrus Gumboot or whatever it is. But it's just, I don't know, it just hasn't ever done much for me. Like I prefer just about every other song on Abbey Road over that track. Like no joke. Not every song, but most of them. Slip On Through, on the other hand, I really love this song. I think it's one of Dennis's best tracks with the Beach Boys. I remember when I first heard it, I didn't click with me right away. It did take a little bit of time, just because I think like it's a little, I think we mentioned this before, like the tempo is maybe a little bit weird, or there's something with, I think maybe Justin, you can kind of describe it, but I really like this song a lot. I love Dennis's vocal on it, especially on that chorus, like, come on, won't you let me be by your side? Like, oh man, he kills that. And great rocker, and I love it. Definitely one of the greatest, one of my favorite rockers from Dennis. So easily Slip On Through for me.
Yeah, these are both great openers for me. I actually like both tracks a lot. Come Together, when I first heard Abbey Road, kind of perked up my ears. Ringo's inventive drum pattern, as everybody knows. I think we take it for granted because we've heard it so many times, but it's really cool. The Wurlitzer solo in the middle and the harmonized guitars in the middle, the kind of guitar solos. And Slip On Through, of course, it's such an intriguing track. It's beautiful backing track. For me, it clicked right away as soon as I heard Sunflower. Like this, it was like, wow, this is the Beach Boys. Like it was unbelievable. And the thing that I want to mention, Jake was talking about the time signature thing. It does have a weird time signature in the verses. I think that's what you're kind of
Yep.
picking up
Yep.
on. It kind of like an uneasy, kind of like rolling feeling. It's like, where am I, kind of thing. That being said, this is really hard, but I'm gonna have to give the edge to Slip On Through because it is such an incredibly great track. And Dennis's vocal is just unbelievable. And when I first heard this track, every time I'd go find a new Beach Boys album, I'd look for the credits for his name to look for songs that he'd written. And I'd be like, oh, this is going to be a good song every time I saw his name. So that was based on Slip On Through. So Slip On Through for me.
And Matt, I think I did mention I listened to this one. I really liked this one a lot as a kid, and I definitely overplayed the hell out of it.
See, I don't to me it doesn't get overplayed. I can listen to the song 100 times. I still love it.
I just, after a while though, like I mean, like I listened to this one when I was like 8 years old, and then after a while, I just kind of got, I think I just kind of got bored of it, and
Maybe
it's just
that's
like
me too, because this was like one of the first Beatles songs I really liked too. Like even before I really deep dived into them.
right, like for me, She Loves You. That was one of the first ones I loved. That was for one of the first ones I latched onto, and I've never gotten bored of it. All right, this next one's tough. This Whole World versus Something. But the more I thought about it, I was like, it's Something. Something is one of my favorite George songs, period. The guitar work on this one is absolutely incredible. The chord changes are actually pretty darn cool too. And it's pretty nuts that he played a lot of those on an acoustic. Because I mean, I remember when I was first trying to learn this song on acoustic guitar, just like the chords themselves, it was actually kind of tough. Maybe it's because it was like I was still getting into guitar at that point. The lead line is so damn cool. It sounds so crystal clear and beautiful. It's like it kind of has George's like almost like watery guitar tone where it sounds like, if that makes any sense, it's so cool. The solo is awesome. The lyrics are absolutely incredible. I know this is one of the songs written about Patty Boyd, but it's such a beautiful song, and it might be one of the greatest love songs of all time, next to Layla. So,
which was also inspired by Patty Boyd.
Exactly, yeah. I knew you would.
I think Sinatra said it best. Something was like the best love ballad of the past 50 years, which was very high praise coming from him because he couldn't stand rock music.
He also thought it was John and Paul who wrote this song.
He did for a little bit, but then eventually started crediting it to George. But like seriously, Something is a beautiful song. This Whole World is a nice tune, but compared to Something, which I think is just an absolutely gorgeous, gorgeous song, and really showed that George could rival Lennon McCartney, I got to give it to Something.
I really like This Whole World, but I have to give it to Something as well. This is another one of my all-time favorite Beatles songs. one of my favorite George songs for sure as well. Like you said, it's one of the greatest. I think it's one of the greatest love songs ever written. The lyrics are just so beautiful, and I love that middle section, like the "You're asking me when my love grows, I don't know." That whole part is like so good, and I love the guitar solo in the middle. Such a amazing solo, and this song just blows me away. I think it's amazing. This whole world though, I do really like it a lot. One of Brian's most like complex songs musically. I think there's a lot of chord changes and key changes going on that are kind of like out of nowhere, but somehow it all works and it all ends up like cycling back to where it started. So I really like the song a lot, but Up Against Something, it's unfortunately for the Beach Boys, is no contest for me. I'm going Something.
Again, two really great tracks. I like both of these a lot. These tracks, it's really hard to choose between them. Something, as Jake mentioned too, that bridge, it just like kills me every time. The guitar solo, as Riley mentioned, with like I think it has the automatic double tracking on it. That's what you're kind of hearing. Um, and the bass line, Paul's bass line on this is just incredible. Doesn't help that, or doesn't hurt that it's such a great song that to create a bass line too. So it helps in that regard. This whole world is one of my favorite Beach Boys tracks as well. I love that part when girls get mad at boys and go. I think
Yeah.
it's like the bridge part of the song. It's one of my favorite parts, and the harmonies and just like the backing track is so much stuff going on in this song. It's really hard to choose between the two, so I'm gonna have to say a tie for the two.
I actually never gave my thoughts on this whole world for the Sunflower episode. So like power play kind of thing. Like I really like
Yeah,
it. It's honestly very power poppy for
yeah.
1970. You don't really expect like a lot of guitar songs on Sunflower. I mean, I guess you have Got to Know the Woman too, and It's About Time, but this one is the one that really shines for me. And the chord changes are freaking nuts. Like absolutely nuts. It just doesn't end, and usually that kind of bothers me, but for this track, it doesn't. It really works. Um, this is like a very like sunshine pop, but also power poppy, so I really enjoy it. But Something is just a better song. Um, the next one, um, Add Some Music versus Maxwell Silverhammer. I actually had Add Some Music for a while, but then I re-listened right before this episode. It changed. Maxwell just clicked with me. I don't know how. I think Jake is really getting me into Paul McCartney. I love that you have Mal Evans on the hammer. Like it's just such a charming song. I don't know why. It just like Maxwell Edison majoring in medicine. Like I maybe like this is so granny poppy that it just does work. This was actually one of my least favorites for the longest time on Abbey Road and up until recently. Yeah, it just works. I think it's so charming. I love the story and like Maxwell killing people with a hammer. Just like I don't know why. Uh, but yeah, Maxwell. This one goes to Maxwell for me. Yeah, you already know my thoughts about Add Some Music. It's all right.
Hmm. I
So,
like Maxwell Silverhammer, but I gave it to Add Some Music because I really like how like everybody in this, like pretty much everybody in the group, barring Dennis, got a part in the song. And I really love the music when you're alone is like a compare. That part with Carl is amazing. But I do like Maxwell Silverhammer, even though the song is kind of creepy. Like like lyrically, it's pretty dark. But I do like the dichotomy between the two. But I got to give it to Add Some Music.
Well, it's ironic that I got Riley to go with the McCartney track here because actually I'm going to go with Add Some Music for this one. I like Maxwell Silverhammer a lot. I know like the other Beatles couldn't stand it and like they hated like I know the recording process of it was very very annoying because like Paul just kept freaking working on it. I think it's fun though. Again, it's kind of interesting how like the lyric is very like dark. It's about this guy like murdering people, but then like the song is like this catchy like kind of sing along like bang bang Maxwell Silverhammer, but really melodic McCartney track. I like it a lot. But Add Some Music. I just think it's really pretty. I like what Matt mentioned, how like all the members have like a vocal part. That middle section with Carl makes the song for me. That music when you're alone. And then I love the way he sings companion. I love like the way he pronounces that. It's just a great track and so pretty. And I love that part at the end too, like the when day is over, I close my tired eyes, and then the beautiful harmonies come in. I really like this song a lot. So I'm gonna go Add Some Music, but I do like Maxwell Silverhammer a lot too.
Maxwell Silverhammer is not one of my favorite songs on this album. It has a nice bounce to it though, I must admit. And I like some of the modular parts that kind of like creep up in bits of the song. Add some music to your day. I really like the harmonies. I like that music when you're alone parts that everybody mentioned thus far. There's just a lot of stuff going on in the backing track again too. There's always like stuff to listen for, and that's one of the cool things about this album. There's so much going on that every time you listen, there's something new that kind of perks up your ears, even like all these years later. So I'm gonna have to go with add some music to your day for me.
Whenever Add Some Music starts, like the Sunday morning gospel goes, I always think Riley hates this part.
I do hate that. The Sunday. I don't know why. And I know Bruce doesn't sing it, but I just imagine him singing as like the Sunday morning
Just don't
gospel.
like. I know it's not Bruce, but you just don't like Bruce's voice, huh?
His voice would sound good on that song.
His
Yeah,
voice
it does.
sounds his voice is so bipolar for me because I love it on Disney Girls and Deirdre, but pretty much, and She Believes in Love Again, but minus those three, just no. I do like him as a backing vocal though, backing vocalist, like on a "I wish they all could be California" kind of thing. I do like it as a backing vocal, but like as a lead vocal, like Ocean Lovers who harmonize.
Man, that's two mentions for Endless Harmony today. Wow, didn't see that coming.
It's been stuck in my head all day. I don't know why. It's been stuck in my head all day. Oh Darlin' versus Got to Know the Woman. I'm going Oh Darlin'. The quick staccato guitar is so cool. I think Paul absolutely rips on this vocal. It's nothing like crazy as a song, but I do really like it. I think the vocal delivery by Paul absolutely makes it, and the guitar work makes it for me. Especially when it kind of resolves back into the verse. Oh, darling. It's pretty cool. And Got to Know the Woman, it's fine. It's definitely a rocking track, but I feel like this is one of Dennis's weaker tracks on Sunflower. It's pretty cool. I think it's better than It's About Time, but I still don't think it's anything like nuts. So I'm gonna go Oh Darling pretty easily.
Yeah. I'm probably the biggest Got to Know the Woman defender, but yeah, it's got to be Oh Darling. I really think Paul killed that song. I know John said he felt he could have sang it better, but I actually think Paul did a great job. I really
Yeah.
think it's very bluesy, which I think, Paul nailed. And I love the when you told me you didn't need me. That part is amazing. But yeah, I love Oh Darling. So I give the vote to Oh Darling.
Yeah, it's easily Oh Darling for me. This is one of the highlights of the album for me. Paul's vocal on this is just freaking killer. I know John, like you said, John said he thought this song, like he would have did a great job on it, or he would have did a better job. I don't see how he could have, honestly. I think Paul, like, with the range he had, he really puts it on full display here. It's a really gritty vocal. You can really hear like the passion in the vocal. Like you can feel like the emotion in it, and I just think it's an amazing track. I got to know the woman. It is one of the lesser tracks from Sunflower for me. Like if I were to rank the tracks, it would probably be either my least favorite or my second to the bottom. But I still do like it. I think it's fun. I like Dennis's kind of like fun vocal on it. I love like the like where he's like, "Come on and do the chicken." I always laugh at that. It's really funny. But I think it bounces along nicely. I like the piano on it. The only part I'm not too fond of, like when it starts repeating like the "got to know the woman" and you have like the backing choir and it just keeps going. I kind of wish they didn't do that for so long, but besides that, I like the song. But I'm gonna go "Oh Darling" because I think it's one of the highlights of Abbey Road.
Yeah, this is tough for me again. I like both these songs a lot. Oh Darling, like Riley mentioned, the staccato guitar that absolutely rips. The vocal is nuts on this song. Ringo's drum fills are all over the place. I really like the how he goes crazy with the drum fills. Got to know the woman's a fun throwback for me. It's an unusual sound for the Beach Boys. It's a Dennis track. It has his fun vocal. Um, I like the piano. The piano part is kind of like a boogie woogie kind of piano pattern. That being said, I'm gonna do a tie. I'm gonna do a tie for them.
Wow.
I do
Yeah.
really like the backing vocals on Got to Know the Woman though. I do enjoy those.
I also love the opening line. "I just met a woman on my way home. She just blew my mind." I love that.
It's a good vocal. Yeah.
Deirdre versus Octopus's Garden. So this is actually a pretty close one for me. Nah, it's not. But I do kind of view Bruce and Ringo in similar ways, though. Both have very signature vocals that are very corny, very syrupy guys. But Deirdre is such a beautiful song. I'm gonna get to Deirdre, but I do like Octopus's Garden. It's a very Ringo song. It's not a very complex song. It's just your basic chord progression, kind of doo-woppy chord progression. I do really like the shit. I forgot the pre-chorus though.
We
Um,
would sing and
yeah,
dance.
I feel like that's where George really helped out with the song. Past where Ringo really had help did it. But I think it's a fun song. I like the guitar work on it a lot. Um, but Deirdre is like it's one of my favorites from Sunflower. Besides the big three for me, I think it is one of Bruce's best songs. I really like the production on it. The dun 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 dun. And then the trouble we had. He does a good job on it. And this is one of those songs where his syrupy vocals work. I do really enjoy Deirdre. So it's gonna be Deirdre for me, but I do enjoy Octopus's Garden. Um,
Yeah, I mean, I like Octopus's Gardens too. I'm probably one of like the biggest defenders of it, but yeah, it's got to be Deirdre. I think that's it's a really charming song. Also the really kind of the intro that was later repurposed into the very haunting thing in Earthbound, which is pretty amazing that they took that and turned into that really scary music in Earthbound. I think my favorite part of Deirdre is probably like the tomorrow at 10, I'll wake you and then we'll take a bath. I don't know. I just really like that part. And I like the harmonies too. And I don't know how much Brian really did on this song. I know he got a credit, but I think didn't Bruce say he just kind of gave him the credit just to give him the credit?
Yeah. From what I read, at most it was like one lyric maybe he added or something, or like
Right.
one line.
Yeah, because I really feel like it's Bruce's baby. But yeah, I'm gonna give it to Deirdre, but I do enjoy Octopus's Gardens.
I like Octopus's Garden a lot too. I think it's a great track, and I love Ringo's vocal on it. It is a very Ringo song, like you said, Riley. But I do like it a lot. I think it's catchy and fun. But I'm gonna go with Deirdre just because this is one of my favorite songs from this album. One of my favorites by Bruce. For me, it's between this and Disney Girls as my favorite Bruce song. I love the harmonies. I love the melody, the production, like you said. The chorus, like the good things turn bad, but it's over now. I just think it's a really well written song, and it really shows like Bruce at like his max potential in terms of like as a songwriter. I think it's a great track, and I love it. So Deirdre for me.
Deirdre's very syrupy. I like it. It has a good arrangement. It has a good structure. This is the thing with the Sunflower tracks. Like a lot of them, they spent a lot of time working on this album, and you can really hear that. There's just a lot of stuff going on that just kind of perks up your ears. Octopus's Garden, I actually like. It's not one of my favorite tracks on the album, but it is a pretty good track. I think it's a very charming track. It's very simple, and I like George's bluesy guitar licks that kind of run through the whole thing. But I have to say the stronger track is Deirdre, even though it is very syrupy, and wouldn't be my usual taste. But I'd say Deirdre.
all right. Now it's about time versus I Want You, She's So Heavy. I Want You fucking bitch slaps it. It's not even close for me. I love I Want You, She's So Heavy. It's a very heavy song. The production really fits that. Um, she's so it's so cool. It's right down my alley. In some ways, I can almost see this being like a Pink Floyd song. I mean, I know I really like Pink Floyd, but like I feel like this is where they really match that like heavy kind of like dark style, and it's so cool. And I can also see the Britpop influence it had, especially with Oasis. Those heavy guitars, they were really ahead of their time. It kind of like I know that people point to Helter Skelter being their hard rock song, but for me, this is them like almost going like Black Sabbath level of like heavy stuff, and I really like it. Killer vocals too, and the way it fades into the next song.
I'm probably gonna get hate for this. I don't like I Want You, She's So Heavy. I think I don't mind long songs, but this just goes on so long, and I just think it's really boring. Like it just is the same thing over and over for like 7 minutes, and then it just stops. I really enjoy It's About Time. I think it's a really rockin' piece. I love Carl's vocals, so for me, it's easily It's About Time. I Want You, She's So Heavy is by far my least favorite song on Let It Be, and I mean on Abbey Road, and it's not even close. Just my opinion. You can disagree.
Oh, I know.
For me, so I'm gonna go with I Want You for this one just because like man, that riff, man, like that heavy guitar, like the like it's so good. And I do love like John's vocals on this track, like during the verses, like the I want you so bad, driving me mad. Like I love the way he sings it. I do think it's a little long. I know like for the end, it's like the last 2 minutes or 2.5 minutes are just the song kind of like fading out. And I mean, that riff is really powerful. Like I do really love that riff a lot. It's like so heavy. One of the heaviest riffs I think they ever did. I mean, I think it's awesome, but I do wish it was a little shorter. It's About Time. I think it's a great rocker from Sunflower. I do prefer it to Got to Know the Woman. I think it's a great vocal from Carl. I love like the opening line, like the I used to be a famous artist, proud as I could be. I love the lyric. And that part at the end, the it's about time we get together to be upfront and love one another. I really like the song a lot, but I'm gonna go with I Want You, but I just wish it was a little bit shorter.
Another one where both of them I really, really like. I know I keep saying this, but like this is really tough. Both these are my favorite Beatles album and my favorite Beach Boys album. So uh I Want You, the guitars are so heavy and dark. I really like it. I can see that Britpop influence that Riley mentioned. I love Lennon's vocal on this and the guitar echoing it throughout the verses there. It's About Time. The congas in the background just going crazy. Carl's vocal is insane on this song. I love Mike's part in the middle when it kind of like quiets down.
Yeah.
So I'm gonna have to say another tie for this. I really like both these songs. I can't choose between two of them.
Yeah, I know it's unintentional because I mean I know the record side A stops at this song, but the way it fades into Here Comes the Sun on streaming is actually so pretty cool. Is so cool because it's like you kind of hear that like I don't know if it's a phase or whatever they used at the end of it. It's like and it goes dun, dun, dun,
I think
dun.
it just cuts off, right? Just like it just stops.
I know, and then it goes right into Here Comes the Sun on streaming. And it's actually really
It's
cool.
on CD too, but on vinyl you'd flip it over. But yeah, I don't like that song. I think it's just boring. I saw somebody else on the Beatles subreddit that agreed with me. It's a really long song that doesn't justify its length and just goes on and on and on, and it just doesn't do anything for like
I feel
7
like
minutes.
you'd really like this one though. It's pretty ambient.
But it's like boring. Like I like ambient that like for me it more does stuff. Like this just kind of goes on. Like I don't mind it. I like it for about like 2 or 3 minutes. Then it's like I get tired of it. Like it shouldn't have been like 8 minutes. That's too long.
I feel like this is the kind of song where like there's other songs like this I probably like don't care for because again it's
I'm
not
shocked that Jake likes it because like
well like it's not like the most like melodic song for sure, but like I can't deny like the power of that freaking riff and just like how heavy the production is, like when John's like yelling heavy, like it's like oh my gosh,
Yeah,
like it's such a powerful track. I
it's
just again
powerful. Yeah.
yeah, really just rocking. I just wish it was a little shorter.
So now we're on to side two for both albums.
Mm-hmm.
Tears in the Morning versus Here Comes the Sun is a fucking slaughter.
yeah.
Oh my God. You guys already know my thoughts on Tears in the Morning. Do. Actually, I do really like that little riff he does at the end after the little line, but still, oh my God. It's Here Comes the Sun is one of the greatest songs ever written. I don't listen to it that much because I think I outplayed the shit out of it when I was a kid. But like it's like one of the greatest songs of all time versus one of Bruce's syrupy moments, and it's an absolute slaughter. It's not even close. It's a really cool guitar song too. If you really look at the guitar work, it's selective picking. It's really cool. Um, so damn cool. And then just for yearning, it's not even fucking close. Here Comes the Sun.
No, yeah, I agree. I think Here Comes the Sun is a great song. It's actually the most streamed Beatles song on Spotify, if I'm not mistaken, which is pretty awesome.
Yep.
One of George's best songs. It's a really, it's a really beautiful song. It's charming. It's a great like springtime song. And Tears in the Morning is fine, but it's syrupy. So easily Here Comes the Sun.
Well, I'm damn sure of my decision for this one. It's Here Comes the Sun. I think this is one of George's best compositions. I think there's a reason it's the most streamed Beatles song. I think it's just a great track. Love the lyrics. Again, they're very simple, but just really heartfelt and meaningful. And I just love this song. I think it's like a great track and one of my favorites from this album. Tears in the Morning. It definitely is a bit syrupy and sappy for sure. Definitely a lot more syrupy than Deirdre in my opinion. But it's really grown on me, honestly, like over the past like few months, like since we started this podcast. I love the production on it. I think it's really well produced and like the arrangement, I think it's really cool. I love that part at the end, like it's just like the solo piano and like the way the song ends with like that single, like that like last piano note. I think it's like very, very haunting, honestly, the way it ends. But it is a little cheesy, like I hope they love the baby I'm never gonna see. Like it's a bit cheesy for sure, but I do like it. But for this, no match for me either. Here Comes the Sun for sure.
Yeah, Here Comes the Sun. It's so positive and uplifting. Of course, it's an iconic Beatles song. Ringo's drums are so steady on this song. I really love the acoustic guitar that Riley mentioned. The I think it's like alternate picking. Um, Tears in the Morning is a little too melodramatic for me. It's a little too syrupy as well too. I think I mentioned this on our Sunflower podcast that this was not one of my favorite tracks on the album. It probably is one of the only ones I don't like. But that being said, I'm gonna go with Here Comes the Sun.
Yeah, I think I read in the Eric Clapton book that, and I might be wrong, because I haven't read that book in a couple of years, but I think George wrote this outside of his home at forgot the name of his home, but
Prior Park.
I think
Right.
it might have been Friar Park, and I think he wrote this like out in his garden with I think with Eric like near him, or at the very least he told Eric about it like right after he wrote it, but
Yeah,
I think that's like a cool story of him like writing that outside like with the sun rising is really cool, and
you can
very.
picture that, eh? Yeah.
Yeah. I'll have to double check that though. I don't know if that's like 100% the story, but it's kind of there. But now we're kind of getting into where it's gonna favor the Beach Boys a little bit for me. Because versus All I Want to Do. I've never really cared for Because. I
Oh
know
wow.
yeah, I've never cared for it. I know this is all four of them harmonizing, which is really cool for the Beatles. Because I mean usually it's just John, Paul, and George, but Ringo on here too. Uh, I just kind of the same way how Matt feels about I Want You, She's So Heavy. It's kind of boring for me. I just don't really care for it. Doesn't really go anywhere. I appreciate it, but I've never really liked this one ever. And you're comparing it to like one of the greatest songs about the Beach Boys period, All I Want to Do. And it's the song that like really inspired shoegaze and dream pop. Um, it's such a great song. I think I already know I gave my thoughts about this a couple of times. I just love this song so much, and because I've never cared for it, so it's not even close for me. All I want to do.
I like Because I like the harmonies and I like the harpsichord. It kind of like gives it like that psychedelic kind of haunting vibe. But yeah, All I Want to Do is a beautiful song, so ahead of its time, easily 30, 40 years ahead of its time. I mean, it's amazing that song came out in 1970. And easily I have to give it to All I Want to Do. It's a great, great, great tune and probably the highlight of Sunflower for I would say pretty much everybody that listens to the record.
Yeah, I mean, I really like Because too, and I think it's a really strong track. I love the harmonies, like you mentioned. It's one of those like very like it's like a hauntingly beautiful track, like the way that their voices blend together. And it kind of surprised me. Another track where it surprises me a bit that Riley doesn't necessarily love this one because again, it has like that psychedelic vibe that I know you like. So it does surprise me a bit that you don't necessarily care for this one, but. Up against All I Want to Do, yeah, it's no contest for me. All I Want to Do is a top 5 Beach Boy song for me. I freaking love this song. As you guys said, the production on this is so ahead of its time, very dream poppy, and I love the vocal from Mike is just so beautiful, and the lyrics. I specifically love that line. Let these little words of love become the lamps that light your way. I really like that line. Very poetic. This is just a gorgeous song. And I mean, if I was to, suggest a song to introduce somebody to the Beach Boys, this would be one of the first few I'd send them because I just think it's gorgeous and definitely All I Want to Do.
Yeah. Am I the only one on because I noticed like kind of like a Beach Boys esque kind of like vibe?
Yeah,
Yeah, the blend. You're right. Yeah.
Yeah. I could see them like definitely like thinking about the Beach Boys when they were putting this together. Because I do think it's very Beach Boys esque. I like the Moog synth on it. It kind of has like a horn kind of patch programmed in. All I Want to Do is all about echo and reverb. I think it's a very dreamy song. It's very atmospheric. And I like both these songs a lot. So I'm gonna have to say tie again. I'm
Hmm.
sorry, I just can't choose one.
I think they're both just fantastic songs.
Yeah,
I love
they're both fantastic songs.
All right. So the next one, we're kind of entering the medley here, and it's going to be pretty hard to split this up, but I try to do my best with this.
it.
I feel like this is a pretty easy one to compare, though. I didn't split up the medley quite yet. It's going to be You Never Give Me Your Money versus Forever, and it's not close. I do love the medley as a whole. But if I'm going to compare Forever even to the whole thing, I'm still probably going to listen to Forever over it. Forever is just one of the best songs written by the band. It is Dennis's best song. It was featured in Full House for a reason. It is so damn good. But as for the medley, I mean, You Never Give Me Your Money as the opener totally works. But there is a little bit of a cutoff at the end, and the medley doesn't really quite start still. But I do really like it. it doesn't really have that Paul Graney pop effect on me. I mean, maybe it's because it's part of a big piece of music that's like 16 minutes. So, but yeah, it's Forever. It's not really close for me.
You mentioned the John Stamos Full House version, and Jake, you'll get something out of Jake. But anyway, seriously though, Forever is, I think, like Dennis's Something. It's just such a beautiful love ballad. I do like You Never Give Me Your Money though. I think my favorite part of that song actually though, and it's the part that I always will remember. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. All good children go to heaven. I don't know why. I just really love that part. But yeah, my vote goes to Forever.
Yeah, I mean, I really like You Never Give Me Your Money. I think it's a great way to start the medley at the end of Abbey Road. I love the way it transitions from like that real like quieter vocal from Paul, like the "You never give me your money," and then it goes into "out of college, money spent, pay no future," or whatever the lyric is. I really love that a lot. But I have to give it to Forever. This is one of my all-time favorite Beach Boys songs. Another one right after All I Want to Do. Another one of my all-time favorite Beach Boys tracks. Beautiful song, one of Dennis's best compositions, probably my favorite Dennis track. I love the production on this, the beautiful group harmonies, and the lyric. It's a very simple lyric, but it works so well. And yeah, as far as I'm concerned, that version Riley's talking about doesn't exist. So I'm gonna go with Forever easily over You Never Give Me Your Money. Although I do really like You Never Give Me Your Money.
Yeah, you guys made some excellent points on both these songs thus far. I can't really add too much, but you Never Give Me Your Money is very melodic. I like the middle section that Jake mentioned, out of college, money spent, that part. And I also like the 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 part that Matt mentioned. Um, Forever is Forever. It's a lovely song. I think it's one of Dennis's best. So I'm gonna have to go with Forever. It's just a better song in my opinion.
Yeah, I mean, it is really hard to compare the side two here with like this like individual songs compared to a whole medley. And I'm sure we'll talk about that at the end once we kind of compare the albums as a whole. Um, but yeah, the next one's gonna be Forever, or not Forever. Our Sweet Love versus Sun King and Mean Mr. Mustard. I
Oh,
love Sun King. Like I listen to that song. I listen to that song on its own. I mean, I even enjoy the Spanish part.
Oh,
But
the butchered Spanish part, yeah.
yeah, I mean, I don't think it's like very like I don't even think it's right, but I do really enjoy it. The guitar work on this song is so damn good. Dun, 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 dun. The light drum work from Ringo, it's so beautiful. But you're comparing it to another one of my favorite Beach Boys songs, Our Sweet Love. Um, but I also have to tack on Mean Mr. Mustard to kind of make it fair. If I was comparing Sun King alone versus Our Sweet Love, it would be really damn close, but I give it to Our Sweet Love still. I just think that song is so beautiful, and I know a lot of people point to All I Want to Do as like the dream pop song off this album, but I can totally still hear this one influencing dream pop in some aspect, especially with that dun, dun, talk about a summer day. So I'm gonna give it to Our Sweet Love, but it's by a hair. But Sun King is such a beautiful song, and Me and Mr. Mustard is very fun. It's very fun.
Yeah, I really like Sun King and Mean Mr. Mustard too. I actually think I prefer Mean Mr. Mustard by a hair. I don't know why. I just think it's like so fun. And it's just it's a great it's a very descriptive song. Like it's like another way I could just close my eyes and just imagine it. Yeah, Our Sweet Love though is just a really beautiful song, and Carl does a wonderful vocal on it. So I got to give it to Our Sweet Love. But I do enjoy Sun King and Mean Mr. Mustard.
Yeah, I also really like Sun King quite a bit too. I know, like for a lot of people, I've seen like this is kind of one of the lesser tracks on Abbey Road from what I've read, but I do enjoy it quite a bit. I love the vibe of it, like a very like chill, pretty vibe, and yeah, like the funny the Spanish part. I will say on Sunflower they have their butchering of a foreign language as well a little bit later here, but yeah, I have to give it to Our Sweet Love, though. I think this is a beautiful track. It's kind of like, I think Riley views this as like almost like a 3-song suite of like All I Want to Do, Forever, and Our Sweet Love. And that's kind of how I see it, too, because these are all top-notch songs for me. I love like the ascending chorus on Our Sweet Love, like there's nothing in this world like our sweet love. I love the way that it goes up like that.
Yeah.
It's just a really beautiful vocal from Carl, and I've seen some people compare this song to God Only Knows because of like the chords. Like it's kind of a similar I think a similar like tempo, and but I do really like it a lot. But I do like Sun King as well, and Mean Mr. Mustard. It is a fun track, although I'm not as crazy about it as I don't love it as much as I think you do, Riley.
Yeah, this is hard for me. I'd say Sun King is very Beach Boys-esque as well. It's another kind of Beach Boys influenced track. Has kind of those same kind of chords, like major seventh, major ninth kind of vibe to it. Mean Mr. Mustard, I love the fuzz bass on it. It's really cool, and there's the descriptive lyrics, like Matt mentioned. Our Sweet Love is just an absolutely gorgeous track. It's beautiful, heartfelt. I think if it was Sun King versus Our Sweet Love, it would be a tie. But because it's Sun King and Mean Mr. Mustard, I don't like Mean Mr. Mustard as much as Sun King. I'll go with Art Sweet Love for the sweep.
I really like the version of Mean Mustard Mustard that's finished as like a full song off of Anthology 3. I know it's a bit less like a bit more stripped back, but I do really enjoy that
Yeah.
version. I like the extra lyrics.
Is that the one that
Yeah.
goes his sister Shirley?
Yep.
Yeah, because then they changed it to Pam because it mixed into Polythene Pam.
Yep. Speaking of which, At My Window versus Polythene Pam and She Came In. Man, Polythene Pam and She Came In like as a duo, fucking rip. The vocals are awesome. The guitar is awesome. It's so driving. Such an awesome pair of songs, and it arguably my favorite part of the medley. Also, I kind of forgot to mention with Song King, I like the oh here that part's really cool. But all these songs kind of go together. The Polythene Pam and She Came In. I don't really care for the lyrics too much, but the vocal delivery makes it so I don't really care about the lyrics at all. It just absolutely fucking rips. So I'm gonna give it to this one, and it's not even close. At My Window is fine, but this is like where the medley really picks up for me, and it rocks.
Yeah, and At My Window, so a couple things about that song. That's the one that's like the ripoff of a Kingston Trio song, right? And
Yeah.
also like the really, really, really bad French or whatever the hell Brian is doing, that honestly like really tarnishes the song. It's so bad. I think it's one of the worst butcherings of a foreign language I've ever heard on a song. Awful. But yeah, I agree. Polythene Pam and She Came In Through the bathroom window. It's just so rocking, and both songs are really descriptive too, which I like. Because like Polythene Pam, it's just like I can't get in my head, she's so good looking, but she looks like a man. I just like I'm thinking like, how does that? That's so interesting. And then She Came In Through the bedroom window. It's just so. I think it's like based off of like a fan, right? That like broke in like one of the Apple stuffs, which is really cool that like that Paul wrote about that. So I got to give it to that as well.
So I do really like At My Window. I think it's a great track, and I know again it borrows from that Kingston Trio track in terms of the melody, but I do really like the production on it and like the sound effects, like with the birds chirping, and I think I mentioned this before, but I love like that key change at the end or that chord change at the end where they're like, he came to my window, and then Brian comes in with or Carl with the he came to my. I've always really liked that a lot. But I am going to give it to Polythene Pam. She came in through the bathroom window just because I think these tracks work really well together. Polythene Pam is a great, like really upbeat track. I love like the way that John sings it, like the yeah, yeah, yeah. It's like it's a lot of fun. And She Came in through the bathroom window. I love this part of the medley a lot. I love that part where Paul comes in with the did anybody tell her? Did anybody see? I really like that. So as much as I do like At My Window, I'm going to give it to Polythene Pam / She Came In Through the Bathroom Window.
Yeah, Polythene Pam and She Came In Through the Bathroom Window is a great pairing. I love George's guitar solo with the slapback delay before She Came In. And it goes through the song too. Like he plays like little fills in between. And I think that kind of makes the song. At My Window is a fun, chill track. It's very mellow and peaceful. You kind of have to be in the right kind of frame of mind to enjoy it. And when I am, I really do enjoy this track a lot, other than the butchering of French. But I'm going to have to give it to Polythene Pam and She Came In the Bathroom Window. I just enjoy that just a little bit more.
All right, and now we kind of get to Golden Slumbers, Carry That Weight, the end, and I guess Her Majesty kind of counts too. Which I think it's Cool Water's fun. I do like that track, but that ending to the medley is unbeatable. I think it's an incredible way to not only end an album, but the Beatles' career. The kind of return to the "You Never Gave Me Your Money" melody. Then you have the dun 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 boy, you're gonna carry that. That Carry That Weight part's so damn cool. And the end is such an awesome exchange of instrumental stuff. It's really fun. I really like how all three of the original Beatles guitarists get their chance to play a guitar solo, and it's so damn cool. Because Paul did start off as a guitar player, and that the Ringo's drum solo is pretty iconic. I know he doesn't really like drum solos, but he got a chance to do that.
Mm-hmm.
And Her Majesty is fine, but I think it's just really hard to beat that on anything, and it doesn't make the medley for me, but it's what I really get excited to listen to. And if I'm gonna listen to the medley, I'm gonna listen to it all the way through. I'm gonna make sure I even get to Her Majesty, and it's just so damn cool.
Yeah, yeah, sorry. But yeah, Cool Cool Water. It has grown on me, but it's never been my favorite on Sunflower. I don't think it ever will be. Whereas like that ending medley is just I get chills every time I listen to it. And when Paul does it live, it's incredible. Golden Slumbers is such a moving song. Then you have Carry That Weight, which has, you get chills just hearing all four of them sing together. It's one of the few songs that they all harmonized on. And then the end, I mean, oh yeah, all right, are you gonna be in my dreams tonight? That's great. And then you have the drum solo, the three guitar solos, and then you have, of course, and in the end, the love you take is equal to the love you make, which I think just kind of sums up the Beatles as the whole. And I have to give it to that. I mean, I think it's one of the best closings of an album ever.
Yeah, I mean, look, I really like Cool Cool Water. I love like the chill vibe of it. I love like the end, like where like Mike's like, "Cool water is such a gas." I've always liked that a lot, but this is no contest though. Golden Slumbers, Carry That Weight at the end. I mean, this is my favorite part of the medley and just one of my favorite. I mean, if you want to consider this a Beatles song, one of my favorite Beatles songs, period. It's so great. I mean, Golden Slumbers, like that, the medley there, the melody there, like the once there was a way to get back home. Like it's such a great vocal and a great melody. And then the way it goes into Carry That Weight. One of my favorite parts of that track is like when it comes back to the melody from You Never Give Me Your Money, like with the horns playing that. And then that freaking guitar solo after that just blows me away every time. I love that freaking solo, the way that that's incorporated into the song. That's so good. And then of course it ends with the end, which I mean, like you said, it's a fitting way to close not only the album but the band's career, and that last line is so great. And in the end, the love you take is equal to the love you make. Like, so good. And this song, like you said, it blows me away every time I hear it. It's one of the greatest moments in music, in my opinion. I just freaking love it. And it's no contest for me. Golden Slumbers, Carry That Weight at the end.
This is tough for me because this is the most epic ending to an album in pop rock, or probably ever,
Yeah.
to one of my second or third favorite Beach Boys songs. So it's kind of hard for me. Golden Slumbers and Carry That Weight are just absolutely epic tracks. The guitar solo during Carry That Weight that Jake mentioned, like that kills me every time I hear that. George just absolutely perfect notes, perfect timing, perfect precision. I just can't believe it. But and then the guitar solos on the end are just incredible. Like Ringo's drum solo, everything just works so well in this ending part. So I have no words. But Cool Cool Water, I love everything about this track. I love the different sections. I love the Moog synthesizer doing the little water drips. I love the sound effects. I love the harmonies. It's just it surrounds you, this track, I find. And it puts you like kind of in that cool, cool water. Like you're in in nature, enjoying water. You're outside. It's beautiful. Um, that's how I feel anyways when I hear that track. So I'm gonna have to say, if I had to choose one, I'm gonna have to go with the medley on Abbey Road. It's a little bit stronger.
Wow.
A little bit.
Yeah.
Nice, man. Okay.
I will say too, on Cool Cool Water, I love that part with Carl, I forgot if it was who sings it, but the when the heat's got you down, here's what you oughta. That always does it for me. I love that.
I really like the vocals on Cool Cool Water,
Yeah.
water, but against the greatest ending to an album ever.
Yeah.
Except Brain Damage and Eclipse.
What is that on?
What, Brain Damage and Eclipse? Dark Side?
Dark Side of the Moon, yeah.
Yeah.
How was that album?
I mean, if it was against one of these tracks, it might have been a harder choice, but like I have to go with the medley.
Yeah. Or Echoes off Pink Floyd's Metal, but I am really biased. So
Yeah, that's fair. I know you're I know you made fun of me for saying like you try to find Pink Floyd and everything.
I
just
do
think
in some
a lot of
spots.
times you say this reminds me of Pink Floyd. Many, many times.
I don't try to find it. I just think I'm like, oh, this reminds me of this. All right. Yeah. So I did want to do a singles matchup.
No, we got to pick a winner.
Oh shit. Oh, Abbey Road. It is very close though. It was a lot closer than I expected it to be because Abbey Road's always been one of my favorites personally. I don't like it as much as Rubber Soul and as Revolver, but I do think it is one of the greatest albums of all time, objectively. And Sunflower is awesome. There's a lot of songs I like on Sunflower. That three song suite is really hard to beat on any album for me. That run of songs is absolutely incredible. And then Slip On Through is one of my favorite Dennis songs. Deirdre is arguably my favorite Bruce song, and I do think it's a very good song. But the rest, like there's I don't think there's really a low moment on Abbey Road. Like there's some songs I don't like, but I don't think there are low moments. Like Even Come Together, I think is a hell of an opener. So I'm gonna go Abbey Road. I don't want to say it's not close. It kind of isn't, but at the same time it is. But Abbey Road for me, and that medley is holy shit.
Yeah, it's pretty close for me because Abbey Road is my second favorite Beatles album after Rubber Soul, and Sunflower is probably like my number like two or three favorite Beach Boys album. I'm gonna give it to Abbey Road, but it is close because I do love Sunflower a lot.
Yeah, I mean, this is my favorite Beach Boys album versus either my first or second favorite Beatles album. So this is extremely close in that regard. But looking at the track lists, I mean, again, Sunflower has some incredible tracks, and that run of songs from All I Want to Do through Our Sweet Love, that three song like suite as Riley calls it, I feel like that matches up against like the best of Abbey Road. But if we're judging them as whole albums, I got to give the edge to Abbey Road just because like the highs on here are so freaking high. I mean, you have Something and Oh Darling, because, and then of course that medley at the end. I mean, it's close, but I mean, yeah, I got to go Abbey Road. I love the album. It's one of my favorite albums of all time, but Sunflower is as well. So it's a close matchup.
Yeah, for me, this is really tough. Favorite Beatles album versus favorite Beach Boys album. But Abbey Road, that ending part is just it kills me every time I hear it. And it is such an epic album. So I'm gonna have to go with Abbey Road. It's just that medley kills me every time. Sunflower is one of the arguably the best pop albums of all time as well, too. I would place it just right under Abbey Road, actually. But Abbey Road is a little bit stronger because of that medley. It's so powerful.
So a quick singles matchup. We're kind of circling back up. Get Back and Don't Let Me Down. I really want to bring up Don't Let Me Down because it's an incredible song, and it's gonna go against Breakaway and Celebrate the News. This is honestly pretty tough because I don't really care for Celebrate the News or Get Back, but Breakaway and Don't Let Me Down are probably equally rated songs for me. I'm probably gonna have to call it a tie. I like both songs for different reasons. Don't Let Me Down has a powerful vocal from John. The part on that song is really cool. Billy Preston absolutely kills it on this one. And the guitar work is also, as usual, really good. But Breakaway is such a melodic song, and the vocals are awesome. I love the harmonies. Uh, God will now wait. That part's so cool. So I'm gonna call it a tie, for those two. As a whole, though, I'm probably gonna give the edge to Don't Let Me Down and Get Back, because I do like Get Back better than Celebrate the News.
hmm Honestly, like I haven't listened to Don't Let Me Down in a while, but I don't remember caring for it that much. I'll be honest with you. Like I don't remember like it just isn't that memorable to me. And I'm like the biggest Celebrate the News defender on here. So for me, I'm gonna go Breakaway Celebrate the News because I like both sides of that single. I have to listen to Don't Let Me Down again though, because I just don't remember caring for it that much. I do like Get Back though. So I'm voting Celebrate the News and Breakaway.
For me, so if we were judging just individual songs, like if I put Breakaway against those two Beatles tracks, like Breakaway versus Get Back or Breakaway versus Don't Let Me Down, I'm gonna go Breakaway for that, just because I really love Breakaway a lot, and I do like both of those Beatles songs, but I wouldn't say they're like absolute favorites of mine. But if we're judging them as singles, Celebrate the News just doesn't do much for me. And I actually just recently heard it again. I forgot where, maybe it was like a video on YouTube or something, but I just listened to it again for the first time in a while, and it still just doesn't do too much for me. Like I think it's okay, but like I think as we've said, it feels like a B-side to me. And I'm glad that it's not on any like album or anything. So in terms of that, I'm gonna go Beatles for that matchup, but I do love Breakaway.
I would say it's a hell of a lot better than some of the crap they did put on their albums, but that's just my opinion.
Oh, oh yeah. I mean that's definitely fair. Yeah.
I like Don't Let Me Down. I like John's powerful vocal. I like the guitars. Uh, Breakaway, of course, I've mentioned before, is one of my favorites. I love the harmonies. That you can tell there's so much work put in this song. There's little guitar parts in the background that are kind of mixed really low that you kind of notice after hearing it a few times. They're interweaving and kind of fun. But if I had to choose between, we'll celebrate the news too. I also said before, like I don't really care for this track as well. Um, I don't really remember anything about it, to be honest. It is kind of like a B-side. Like it is like something that you hear on a B-side. So I'm gonna go with "Don't Let Me Down." I would choose that single over the Breakaway single. It's just a little bit stronger.
The only part of Celebrate the News that I can remember is like that part where there's like, there's been a change. Like that's the one part I remember. Other than
Oh,
that,
okay.
that
I
doesn't
thought it
stick
would have
with.
been at the beginning when he said hello.
Oh well, yeah, that's it.
I'm with Justin. I don't remember a damn thing about that song.
I'm the only one that likes that song on here, it seems like.
Yep.
That's
It's
okay.
something about like bad luck, all the bad luck that I had, or something.
I
All
don't
the
honestly, I don't know if the Beach Boys ever really had like a great B-side. That was only a B-side. Let me say that. Not like saying like they
Yeah,
never had a great B-side that was like just existed. Like I wouldn't
yeah,
put
like
like the Beatles had some great ones. I think Prince had some great ones, Oasis, but I don't think the Beach Boys ever really had. Did they ever really have like a great B-side that was only a B-side? I can't really like I like some of this, but I wouldn't even put it like with I wouldn't put up
Tuesday
like
Cincinnati.
huh? Oh, Cincinnati.
Tuesday
But that was on an
Cincinnati.
album. Like I wouldn't put it up there with like Rain or like Erotic City or like you think of like some of
No,
those really
no,
good.
no, no,
Yeah,
no.
I wouldn't even though I'm a big fan of that song, I wouldn't put up there with like some of like the best B-sides.
All
They
right.
didn't really have a lot of B-sides. Like a lot of their stuff either ended up on an album or a
Mm.
compilation or
Yeah, they had a tendency to always like seem to run out of stuff to put on the albums.
Yet they still had a whole vault of material that they just did not
And a lot
release.
of it was good. That's the crazy
A
thing.
lot of it was insanely
Yeah.
good.
Like oh,
All
sweet
right. So we're gonna kind of combine the years. 69, 70. I mean, to be fair, most of Let It Be was just 69 anyways. Um, and for me, it's not even close. Abbey Road and Let It Be are two fantastic albums with incredible highs. I love Sunflower and I like a good amount of tracks on 2020, but if you're comparing the whole, it's not even close. This is the Beatles, arguably the Beatles' best album. An incredible album in Let It Be. Even though some of the faults on it, like I mean, I'm not a big fan of Spector's production on it, but I still think that it's an incredible album that the songs hold on their own as strong songs. Um, it's really hard to compare that with, unfortunately, kind of a mixed bag of an album with like hodgepodge put together in Sunflower, which is an incredible album, but still, I feel like Sunflower puts up a hell of a fight, but when you combine everything, it's not really close for me.
So the way I look at it is like if we're comparing like what came out in 69, like what came out in 69, so like Abbey Road versus 2020, Beatles win 69. But for 70, I would actually say the Beach Boys win for me because I do like Sunflower better than Let It Be. That's how I look at it.
Yeah, I agree with Matt on that. Like, if we're doing it by individual years, I would say probably I prefer Sunflower over Let It Be for sure. So they win for that year. But as a whole, which is kind of what we're comparing, I definitely Beatles. I mean, it's no question for sure. I mean, you could argue they're at their creative peak here, and I mean, this is really, I mean, Abbey Road is an absolute masterpiece of an album, one of my all-time favorite albums, and I love Sunflower too, but man, there's just no arguing it's how great it is. And I do think the Beach Boys released some really great material during this period, and a lot of it remains undiscovered by a lot of people. You think of songs like Breakaway and a lot of the Sunflower material, like All I Want to Do, Our Sweet Love, for like these songs weren't hits, so it's like people, unless you're a Beach Boys fan, you probably don't know a lot of these. So it's a period that remains relatively undiscovered for the Beach Boys, while with the Beatles, a lot of these songs everybody knows. But yeah, I have to give it to the Beatles as much as I love the Beach Boys stuff from this period too.
Yeah, and I would if we're doing overall, yeah, I agree. I would give it to the Beatles as well.
Yeah.
I feel the same way as Matt and Jake. 1970 for the Beach Boys, 1969 for the Beatles. Overall, the Beatles, just because of that Abbey Road medley, it was so strong, especially the ending part. It's just such a swan song to their career. And of course, the Beach Boys did put up a good fight in 1970 with Sunflower. Like that was a really strong album as well, too. But overall, the Beatles win, I would say.
You're right. If you're comparing um, Sunflower to Let It Be, it's Sunflower, and Abbey Road to 2020, it's Abbey Road. But I kind of combine these years personally, at least for the Beatles. I kind of feel like they kind of go hand in hand. Both of them are, in a way, a swan song for the band. One being literally the last thing they worked on together, but another just kind of being the last thing they released. So it's pretty hard for me to kind of separate the two. Though Onward, the Beatles didn't release anything new except for Bonnie's Anthology and think it's pretty easy to see who wins. Summer in Paradise versus Real Love and Free as a Bird. I would be shocked if anybody picks Summer in Paradise, but you never know.
Never know. There's some crazy people out there.
That's some fucking nuts people. I think Real Love sweeps anything that the Beach Boys did.
Real Love is incredible.
Real Love, like I've seen a lot of people rip that song apart and say like, oh, it's not a real Beatles song. Like, I don't give a shit. It's I think Jeff Lynne did an incredible job on that track.
Yeah.
I think as a song, it's just so damn strong. And even though it's not a real Beatles song, I mean, it was released under the Beatles name. It's a John song. Yoko gave the go ahead. I don't see how you can't put it in the Beatles canon.
I've always preferred that song to Free as a Bird. Like, I do like Free as a Bird. I think it is very like moving, just especially like lyrically, just because like, like when the song was released, like, John was no longer with us. And I think it is a very moving song, but I think melodically Real Love is just so good. And I think, like when Now and Then came out, like, I know, like, there's been some debate about like that song too, like the legitimacy of it. But personally, I view Real Love as a much better closer to the Beatles story than I do than Now and Then, even though I'm okay with Now and Then. I think Real Love is a great note to end on.
And that No Need to Be Alone, like literally like one of the few songs that actually brought me to tears. The first time I heard it, I was like, holy shit.
His piano demo of it is really haunting too, if you ever heard that.
I'm going to be the odd man out. I actually prefer Free as a Bird because to me, it feels more like a Beatles song. I do like Real Love, but Real Love to me feels more like a John song with just some Beatle flourish.
That's fair. I get
That's
that.
really fair.
Yeah, because I think Free as a Bird to me just feels more like a Beatles song because you have like the Paul part, you have the George part, the guitar solo. But I still like Real Love. I don't hate it. What would have been kind of cool is if they had the technology we have now to really clean up those demos better. Because back then they had to kind of just take the cassette and like distort it to hell and chop it up to bits. So it'd be kind of cool if they had the technology back then that we have now to really have them more cleaned up. Just kind of a food.
It would have been hell to sync it up to like analog because it was done on analog tape. Those
well, I'm thinking now
it would have been hell.
AI and everything, and
I do really like Free as a Bird though too. That's a really good song too.
Yeah, too.
And I do like Now and Then. I think Now and Then's really pretty. It's actually grown on me because the first time I heard it, there wasn't really much there that was super exciting. I thought it was pretty good, but it has grown on me. And I really wish you got that bridge section though.
Yeah. See, that's my problem with it. I don't like that they took out that bridge. The I don't want to lose you. Like, that's the best part of the song in my opinion. And they took it out, and I've heard that like part of that is because I think the lyric was I want to say the lyric was kind of incomplete. Like he kind of just starts like at the end, I think he kind of just starts like mumbling stuff. And then also I think the lyric might have been it could be viewed as a little controversial by some people because it's about like it's like hurt you and abuse you. Like I don't want to abuse you. And like obviously, like with John, like there's a lot of talk about, some of the things he did with, but I do like the song a lot. I just wish that they didn't drop that part because I think it really enhances it.
Yeah. But yeah, and then there's obviously the solo material they released throughout the years, and I feel like that's really hard to compare to a lot of the Beach Boys 70s stuff because I like a lot of the 70s stuff, and I even like a lot of the 80s stuff. But when you're comparing it to, for me, like Double Fantasy, All Things Must Pass, and Plastic Ono Band, and even some Paul stuff, it's tough. There's obviously been talks like what if they reunited and stuff, but that's not really. Unfortunately, it's not real. So now I feel like with all that, there's only one thing we have to discuss now is who would win in a fight. Personally,
and this is just to clarify, this is the actual physical fight that Riley is talking.
Like they're fists, no weapons, no rules though, so like street rules, so like fists. So the matchups I have between, because I don't think they would just kind of go all out. I feel like there needs to be matchups. First one I want to talk about is Al versus Ringo. Al played football, and Ringo stayed at the hospital a lot of the times as a kid. So I'm gonna go Al 1000%.
Yeah, I agree. And Al was like pretty jacked. Like I've seen that picture.
He's jacked, yeah.
Ringo to me, like maybe if he was drunk, but nah, I'm gonna go Al.
No, even if he was drunk, I feel like that would just give Al more of an advantage because Al keeps it clean.
I guess, but like Ringo, I know when he was drunk, beat the hell out of his wife.
Yeah, that's true. Yeah, I mean, I'm gonna go Al on this one just because, like, yeah, like you said, I've seen that picture too of Al like flexing his muscles and stuff. Like he was definitely a fit guy, and yeah, I think Al would win that one. I don't know if it would necessarily be like too like one-sided, but I think Al would beat Ringo.
Yeah, Al used to lift weights actually back in the early days, so I'd say Al as well.
Yeah. Plus,
in
I mean,
garage.
they're both pretty short guys, but Al's kind of like your like the short kid who was like really ripped. I know a lot of kids like that. I played football, I did wrestling. I know a lot of those guys who like they're short, but they're freaking huge.
Yeah,
Uh,
yeah, I don't think that matchup it wouldn't come easy for Ringo.
It don't come easy. All right. So next one I want to talk about is Carl versus George, both the quiet guys. Um, I got George winning this one. I think that even though he was like pretty thin, those Hamburg days definitely helped out. And I feel like, and I think I mentioned this yesterday, I feel like George is the kind of person where like he's like really OCD and he's like really organized. And then you mess with him, like one thing, he flips his shit. Like when Yoko took the biscuit. So I feel like George would really win this one. I feel like Carl wasn't really much of a fighter.
No,
I agree.
Sure.
Carl wasn't a fighter, and Carl like loved him, but he was kind of pudgy for a lot of his life. And George was always in like pretty like solid shape. So yeah, I'm gonna go with George. And like you said, the Hamburg days were really tough.
Yeah, I mean both guys come off as really like peaceful like souls, I guess. Like especially like like Carl, he just seems like I know he didn't want to participate like in the draft. Like I know he got out of that, and like they ended up having to like do like some like shows to kind of get him out of that. But yeah, for that reason, I'm gonna go George as well. I just don't really see Carl as being much of a fighter. But to be fair, I don't really see George that way either. But I think George would win in that.
Even the cigarettes wouldn't get in the way of that.
I feel the same way as Jake. Even though George is a little bit more rough around the edges, I would say, because of the Hamburg days and just growing up in Liverpool. Yeah, so I would say George.
All right. So these are the getting closer to my favorite matchup. So Mike versus Paul, kind of both the kind of like business guys of the group. Very much the vocal frontman. I know John was kind of the frontman in the early days, but Paul kind of took that position later on. I got Mike. Mike was actually a hell of an athlete. I kind of used to think that he really talked up his athletics, but when you were like, there's like actual records, like he was fast as hell. And like he stayed in incredible shape throughout all these years. I think Mike kicks Paul's ass, at least in this.
Yeah, I agree. I think Mike, like you said, Mike was taller. Mike was a better athlete. So yeah, I'm definitely gonna say Mike as well.
Football and track.
And Mike could levitate, so yeah, that too. No, I'm gonna go Mike as well. I feel like Mike, yeah, like physically, I feel like he was pretty, a fit guy, and he still is to this day, honestly. I know, there's that story of like the apple juice incident too, where like they were trying to like restrain him and they couldn't. I don't think like he was like running away and stuff. So I feel like I'm gonna go Mike on this one. I think Paul will put up a fight though. But I don't really think him in my head as being like a fighter though. So I don't know. I think I'd go Mike on that one. Now if Paul had Maxwell's silver hammer, I don't know, but
Mike has apple juice.
Yeah, Paul seems more like Carl, where he's like a very peaceful kind of guy. Mike is a little bit more of a hothead, I guess you could say, and he's a little bit taller and he's fit. He stayed fit all those years, like you guys said. So I would say Mike as well too.
Still cruising.
You stole it from me, Riley. I was gonna say that.
Still cruising after all these years.
We're such boys nerds here. My God.
I say these things to my actual friends, and they're like, "What the fuck are you talking about?" I'm like, "Don't worry about it." Plus Mike can levitate. So like, no matter if Paul has the hammer, he's just gonna go up.
He's coming up.
The hammer comes down, but Mike goes up. All right, this is one that like seriously, like serious conversation. Because I actually don't know. I got John Lennon versus Dennis Wilson. Both were like easily like the hotheads of the group. Both got into actual fights a lot as kids. Both probably continued to fight as adults. Dennis definitely did. And I feel like this is actually a solid matchup. And it really depends. Are they in their prime? Like prime Dennis, prime John? Like I'm talking like 18-year-old John Lennon from Hamburg, Liverpool versus, I would argue, probably similar age Dennis. I think it could be a draw. I don't know. I don't know who would win. There needs to like actually measure the amount of punches they each got on each other. I feel like both would never give up. Like I don't think either of them would knock out. I feel like they just keep getting back up. They just keep pissing each other off more. Now are we talking like 40-year-old Dennis versus 40-year-old John? I'm probably gonna give it the edge to Dennis. I feel like Dennis kind of kept up with his fighting spirit and John mellowed out. But in their prime, like prime John, prime Dennis, I don't know.
Yeah, I don't know. I would probably say Dennis just because I don't think Dennis ever really lost that fighting edge, whereas John kind of eventually did. So I'm gonna give it to Dennis.
Yeah, this is too close to call for me. I feel like I think it depends. Is Dennis drinking like during this fight?
That's
Like,
a good question. If Dennis was drinking and John was on heroin, I would probably give this to Dennis. But I'm talking like if they kept it clean, they prepared for this fight, they trained, they weighed in, it would probably come down to decision. I don't think it'd be a knockout.
I agree with you. I don't think either of them would ever let up. I think they'd just be going at it, and I feel like personality-wise, there were some similarities there too between them. So I think it honestly is like a perfect match in terms of like a fight, So I'm going to say draw.
Me, I definitely would not want to get in a fight with Dennis Wilson. I have to say that. But yeah, I feel like if they were in their prime and there's no substances being used, it'd be really tough to tell who would win. But overall, I'd give the edge to Dennis. He's a little bit more. I think he'd be a little bit more crazy and like he'd just keep going. He wouldn't give up.
I think in all reality, they would have been really good friends.
I think so too.
I think personality-wise, like I said, there were a lot of similarities. I feel like they would totally vibe. Yeah, definitely better than like Mike vibed with Dennis. I feel like.
Yeah.
They were close at first, but then
no, I know.
They were actually pretty close as kids.
Yeah, there's still like some nice stories of them like later on too, So it's not like they weren't, but definitely that was a very strained relationship, especially at the very end, obviously.
Yeah, and then Mike got very self-righteous about the whole thing, and that's a whole other topic.
What about Murray versus Brian Epstein?
No, how about Bruce?
Oh, you want to do Bruce versus Pete Best?
Who could Bruce fight? Pete Best?
I don't know enough about Pete Best, so other than he was just in Hamburg, so I'm gonna go with Pete Best because Bruce, I don't know. Bruce just seems kind of like wimpy.
I just hate Bruce, so I'm going Pete Best.
Like Pete Best wants to go at it, and Bruce is like,
but Bruce did see a murder though, so
Ocean Lovers.
Yeah.
All right. So
what about David Marks versus Pete Best?
David Marks probably right.
Yeah, David Marks and Dennis were really good friends.
He went through some hard times too.
David Marks did not let up.
Who would Bruce? That's the bigger question.
Billy Preston? I don't know, man.
Billy Preston would beat Bruce. Come on.
Oh yeah, Billy Preston, not even close. I feel like Bruce would lose no matter who it goes against. George Martin. Bruce versus George Martin.
Well, Bruce
that's tough.
Had age on his advantage.
But wasn't George Martin a veteran?
I have no idea. Maybe.
I don't think he served in any war, but I think he was in the military, wasn't he? I'd have to look into that. Matt, I feel like you're looking up.
He was. Yeah, it says he volunteered. Yeah, he was part of the military, but he was not involved in any combat. So then it's gonna be George Martin.
Yeah.
Sorry,
Bruce. Bruce is like, come meet me at the nearest faraway place.
Shove the nearest faraway place up your ass.
Okay, so we're good to wrap it up.
Probably. Yeah, Jesus. Thank you everybody for listening to this 20th episode of Good Timin. I hope you all enjoyed the show. I had a great time discussing both the Beatles and the Beach Boys music with you guys, and I hope that those of you listening have come away with an even greater appreciation for both of these amazing bands. So, as always, if you like this podcast and want to hear more, feel free to subscribe or follow wherever you're listening. We greatly appreciate the support as it motivates us to make more episodes in the future. Also, as a reminder, the podcast is available on YouTube, Spotify, and Apple Podcasts. So there's plenty of different places to listen and keep up with the show. So thank you again, everyone, for listening, and we will see you all next time. Bye-bye.